Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV Podcast 363.
Kind of stumbled through that one.
I got it there.
You're a little tongue-tied.
It's been a long day. So we're here for 363, and tonight we get to recap a little bit of action that went down. Of course, Ledgestone Insurance Open, the big three-round and then some tournament that took place on the Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Series.
And in honor of Ledgestone, it's actually raining here in Milwaukee right now. We are going to cut the show about at, 10:30 and just be done? Like just suddenly, maybe get a question or two in and then stop.
I was seriously in some legitimate danger on the way here. The sky is lightning like crazy. It's all over. It's lightning up. Lighting up. It's
Lightening
all over
up.
right now. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. There's some severe thunderstorms that are rolling into the Milwaukee area right now. So I guess we're keeping in tune with that. Today was disgustingly humid here in Wisconsin, and temperatures in the 90s. And I know everyone in North Carolina is like, shut up, we don't care, no big deal. But it was disgusting out there, and we've got some nasty storms that are in place as we speak. So tonight we're going to have none other than Kyle Klein. He's going to join us in just a few moments. We're going to talk to him a little bit. Of course, he was runner-up a few weeks ago over at the D-Glow, and had things shifted out in a different way. We would have possibly talked to him at that point, but now obviously he's one of the additional storylines that took place at the Ledgestone Insurance Open. I know there's a lot of hype and speculation and conversation about the incredible start that he had during that final round, and of course that round ultimately being cut short. And we have a very unique scenario where our co-champions in Ricky Wysocki and Kelvin Heimberg were crowned on the MPO side. So we'll get into that. We'll do a little bit to cover some of the Masters Pro Worlds that was taking place down in Tennessee. Looks maybe some things you would have expected. Some new champions crowned, some repeat champions, a lot of good stuff that took place down there. And then we've got a little bit of news from around the horn, which is a phrase we never use here, but some news from around disc golf. I have a few notes, a few cool things that went down and took place over the last week as well. So
we're going to do our best with Kyle. We did a few tests, and the area he's in isn't necessarily the greatest for internet. So if we do have a few hiccups, just bear with us, and I promise we'll fight through them.
Yes, one way or another, or we'll call a rain delay, we'll think about coming.
We will not call it early, I promise.
All right, I can't promise that. Well, joining us right now is none other than Kyle Klein. Hey, buddy. Are you frozen?
There he is.
There he is. How you doing?
Terry, you're very pixelated. I can't hear anything you're saying.
All right. Yeah. Well, pixelated in terms of the video, hopefully shouldn't matter to you too much. You don't need to look at our ugly mugs, but hopefully we can make sure at least audio is working for you. Are you saying the audio is struggling too on your Wi-Fi there over at the hotel?
I can't hear anything.
All right. Your Wi-Fi is struggling. That's what you're telling us?
Oh, wait. There it goes. Nope, it's good.
All right.
It's good now.
All right.
All right. We don't see Cynthia crawling out from behind. Nobody sees that. No big deal.
She can pop in and say hi. I mean, she doesn't have to hide from us. We're not scary.
All right. So let's see if we can hammer through as many questions as possible before your internet sketches out on us or some lightning comes by. Couple of incredible weekends. Yes, you finished in 6th still this weekend. Weekend before, second place to Eagle, or should I say, I'm sorry, 2 weeks before that, over in Michigan, second place to Eagle. You're playing some good golf. How does it feel?
Feels really nice just to know I'm putting together the rounds that I've really worked towards kind of just throughout this whole year, and the rounds that I know I can throw down. So just all in all, it just feels gratifying.
So tell me, as of today, the ratings updated again. I was going to say they went up for some, not for all. I'm sure you know what your rating was and what it went to today, right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
All right. Share it with the world.
Was at a 1035 before today, and it went up another 3 points to 1038, and that's a career high for me. So working towards now, my goal was 1030 this year at the beginning of this year, and now I'm working towards that 1040. I think if I keep playing like I have been, I should have no problem getting there.
That was going to be
Sounds
my next point. I remember you posting and saying, "Hey, I got to 1030. That was a goal, and now clearly you have to reassess." I mean, ratings are a snapshot. Everybody argues about how much they do or don't, put stock in them. But what do they mean to you?
It means a lot to me, honestly. People say that they don't matter. People say they do. People say they don't. But for me, it's just kind of like it's a timeline of like where I've been in terms of like skill level and where I am now. I can just look back on that and say this is where I was at this point, and I've done all this work to get to here, and I know what I have to do to get better and farther.
Yeah, I mean, let's rewind. A year ago, August 11th, so almost exactly to the day, a year ago, you were rated 1027, and 2 years ago in August, you were rated 1004. And 3 years ago, you were rated only 973. Most people don't have increases like that. You know that, right?
I think 3 years ago, where it would be 3 years ago, would be 2018 is when I first met you in Indiana in Crown Point. I think we're relatively close to that date.
Yeah, I that is correct because I met you like right on or near my 40th birthday, which says how old I am. But it was my 40th birthday, and I was working a NADGT qualifier in Indiana. I think you finished second there, and you were just 15 or 16, and
Think so.
your dad had brought you there, and that's where we first met. And think of where you've come now in these last 3 years. Of course, you won the NADGT and the huge first place prize there, but now you're threatening the Crush Boys week in and week out as teammates. What is it about your play right now that you're feeling particularly good?
I'm going to kill our video to you, Kyle. So if you don't see us, it's okay. We're still here, I promise. So just want to make sure that we give you all the bandwidth that you can take. So go ahead. We can still see you.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was asking, what do you
Yeah,
feel like is about your
Harry,
game right now?
I didn't catch what you said.
Yeah, I was just asking, what do you feel like where your game is,
One more time?
and what's so successful and what's firing, what's doing well for your game right now?
Oh, my putting for sure. My putting has always been, I think, a huge issue for me. Just I've been able to throw the disc and drive the disc where I want to. It's just been a matter of me connecting on all those putts for whether it be eagle, birdie, par, whatever it may be. But I think my putting has come together in the last year, and I like the track that it's on right now.
So people would ask, what'd you change? Like, what has been the key to that success for your putting to get so much better recently?
Um, I don't know if anyone will remember, but last year, like the first half of the season, I had like a different putt. It was more of like a pitch from the right hip style putt, and
Mm-hmm.
about Green Mountain to MVP Open, like in that area somewhere, I changed it to more of a spin putt, and it's kind of evolved into where it is now. And I think that's been a huge part of it, because in my old form, the way it was, I was getting the yips. If you kind of relate, I don't know if you can relate, but but just you're missing short putts, you're missing bad, and I just kind of changed it up for it to be a little more smooth and kind of controllable. So it's kind of evolved as it's been, and where it is right now is, I think, the best it's been ever.
Do you feel like there's anyone, if somebody said, hey, you kind of putt like blank, is there anyone that you feel like you putt most like? Is there anyone that you could compare yourself to?
Is there anyone I can compare myself to?
Yeah, with your putting style. Do you feel like you either emulate or you kind of copy or look like or resemble someone else's putting style? If you said, yeah, I kind of putt like blank, who do you feel like you would describe that as? Is there anyone?
I've heard there's many people haven't said this, but I've heard I put like Andrew Marweed, apparently.
Okay. Yep.
Just the way I kind of line up, I guess.
I can see that.
You kind of see it watching it back and kind of comparing. Yeah, that's just something people have said. I've seen it a little bit.
Yeah, I could see that, which is kind of funny that you and Andrew, of course, both Michiganders. Did you feel like you ever watched him or tried to take anything from his putt, or is that just dumb luck that you kind of have a similar style to him?
I think it's more of just kind of a coincidence. I haven't really. There's no offense to Andrew; he's an amazing putter, but like I haven't looked at part of like his game or his putting and like been like, I want to look like that or I want to do this. I think it's just more of a coincidence that it just kind of happened to be that way.
Okay, fair enough. So when you're talking about distance, I kind of just referred to you as, being teammates with the Crush Boys and whatnot. When I watch you throw a drive, I feel like it's at least 80 to 90% what I've seen out of Simon Lizott's form throughout the years. Clearly someone you wanted to emulate, and understandably so. I guess, how did you arrive at that? I mean, do you sense and feel that yourself? I mean, that's how I perceive it. Do you also kind of sense that?
Oh, absolutely. You've hit it pretty much on the head with that one. Growing up, like, I don't remember what video it was, but it was like a Q&A that he did, and someone asked, how do I throw farther? How do I like build my form to be really good? And his answer was, do what the pros do, because they do it for a reason. So I kind of took that and ran with it. So he was a player I looked up to and liked how he threw, so I kind of tried, and that is where it is now.
Yeah, I even think about when you bring your left hand up, your left palm kind of briefly touches the side of the disc, or the wing of the disc. It just glances it. It's not really there to do anything, but it does exactly how you see Simon, and those are just some of those little intricacies that I see that emulate what we see from Simon. Now, how far do you throw, and what do you feel like is where's your ceiling? Can you be throwing farther yet?
One more time, Terry.
I was saying, how far do you throw, and then how much room to grow do you have? Can you be throwing that much farther yet?
Right now, I'd say like a golf shot, I probably am sitting at 500, and max distance is probably not much farther. I've noticed that like my golf shots go about as far as my max distance shots. So max distance is probably pushing 600, but in terms of growth, I really don't know. I always joke with people I play with that, I joke with myself too, that I threw farther 2 years ago than I do now. I don't know why. It just feels that way. Like I feel like I used to throw a lot harder and farther in 2019 than I do now.
Either that, or you were throwing that much farther than the rest of your competition. It just felt like maybe you were throwing the same, but you were out driving all the people in the other divisions. And now that you're at the top division, maybe you're just a little more equal. I don't know. Do you feel like in any way the distance you have right now is a disadvantage?
Is a disadvantage?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, I should say, maybe I'll reword that question and say, do you feel like, oh, somebody with a bigger arm has an advantage or can beat me this weekend? You know, is distance really even something you factor in at all anymore that you worry about?
I mean, sometimes on some par fours, obviously, like a long drive would help, but I don't think it's necessarily a necessity. And just based on the fact that if it's a par four, it's 800 feet. People who throw 400 can do it in 2 shots. It's just a matter of putting yourself way closer on the first shot and having a shorter second shot. It's just like whether you can throw a driver or a putter, on an 800-foot hole. That's kind of where the advantage, I guess, comes in to play.
Okay. So let's talk about the last few weeks. Of course, Ledgestone, the weekend before that, you were at the Preserve, and the weekend before that at D-Glow. How do you feel, we're just 48 or 72 hours away or so from starting this fourth consecutive event on the Elite Series. I know you play a ton of golf, but 4 elite events in a row. How are you feeling physically and mentally?
A little bit fatigued in both aspects for sure. I'm physically, I'm definitely feeling it more so than mentally. I can definitely foresee a break coming soon. I can tell I'm getting tired. Lately, I've been feeling more and more fatigued. Just want to be like, I just.
Yeah. Sorry, you were chopping up a little bit, but you were saying that you're feeling fatigued right now, physically and mentally overall. Someone might say to you, "You're like 19. Should you be fatigued?"
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say for as much as it doesn't really matter what age. I mean, of course, if you're older, you're going to feel more fatigued than someone who's 19 or 20, but you still get fatigued. It's just a matter of how much your body can take. And if we're all outside the same amount and doing the same thing, it's just a kind of a spectrum, how fatigued from very little to very or a lot. But for these younger, I feel like I have too.
Fatigued like this internet connection?
Right.
Sorry, you were cutting out a little. You were explaining how it's on a spectrum, and yes, I totally agree. Obviously, everyone.
And ultimately, I think you're right. Everyone gets the same type of fatigue. It's just what you can recover from. When you're young like Kyle, you can probably recover from it a little bit faster than someone like, we'll say, a Ricky or a Paul, who's elderly now in our divisions.
Yeah, they're like old men. I can see that. I think that's what we heard you say. You called them old men. All right. So
yeah, no, not quite.
We're just kidding. So Saturday at Friday, I think I either talked to you or I saw you post. I think I saw you post and say something to the effect of that round was terrible or you played terrible and you can do better and you're going to come out and do better. And then Saturday, that was after playing the black course, the Northwood black course. Then the following day, Saturday, you come out and you set the course record. I mean, is that just positivity? Is that manifesting it, saying it out loud? Was that any drastic changes from Friday to Saturday? Like, what brought about, the turnaround in score and just overall performance?
It's a combination of a lot of things. I think most of it is just telling myself, you just didn't have it on Friday, and Saturday you're gonna have it, even if you didn't feel it. I just kept telling myself, you're gonna have it. Oh, phone's low battery, but yeah, combination of telling myself, I can't do this. This course is hard, but it's nothing you can't handle.
Okay. So you shoot the course record, what, an 8 under on Saturday?
8 under, yeah.
And how many spots did that move you up?
All of
How many
them?
spots? I mean, I think I only moved up. I wish. But I think only 10 spots. I think I was going to move me up 10 into 6th place.
Okay. And so what were you telling yourself Saturday night after shooting the course record, going out to Eureka, chase card, all those good feels and vibes? What were you telling yourself Sunday as you were getting ready for the round? He's quite stoic for our audio listeners.
Yeah, he's thinking this one through quite a bit.
It looks like he actually locked up. All right, I think we got. It looks like you might be back. I was saying, what'd you tell yourself for Sunday's round?
What was I telling myself for Sunday's round? I mean, honestly, after round 2, it's probably not the thing you should be telling yourself, but I mean, I'm pretty much out of it. I mean, I'm however many strokes back. It's gonna be hard to make up this many strokes in these 2 next rounds. Then after round 3, I find myself 4 back, and I mean, 4 back at Lake Eureka is not insurmountable. I knew there was a chance of like bad weather and a delay, so I try to get all the birdies pretty much. I mean, I started out 5 through 5, so I
So
was
what
doing
were
my job quite.
Yeah, you
Quite
started out doing your job, that's for sure. How did you feel after 5 holes when you heard the horns and you knew everybody was coming off? Did you think you were going to go back out there? Did you look at the sky or look at the thing and go, I had my chance, but it's just too soon? What was your first initial instinct when you heard that horn?
I was looking at the radar before. I knew it wasn't looking good, but I mean, I heard those horns go off, and I just thought, man, it's unfortunate that I'm gonna have to like stop this heater that I'm on, because I was in the zone, I was feeling it, and I didn't really think that we were gonna have to stop and like cancel the rest of it. I just thought, man, I'm gonna have to go back out there kind of cold turkey and try to continue this good play that I was on.
What were some of your emotions as the day kind of just continued on and it was looking more and more grim about you returning to the course? Were you just like watching the radar or had your head over Nate Heinold's shoulder, listening in, or like what were some of your emotions? In addition to the anticipation, I'm sure, but what were some of your emotions about getting back out on the course?
I mean, me and a couple guys were sitting underneath the player hospitality tent. We were all kind of looking at the radar. Wasn't looking good, and I saw like the clouds coming in, all the lightning, and it kind of dawned upon me probably 15, 20 minutes into the weather delay out there, because either A, the lightning's not going to stop and it's going to get worse, or B, we're going to go back out there, but we're not going to have enough daylight to finish. So I kind of realized we're not going to get this round in, at least, and I feel like not enough holes to be able for it to count.
And that would be my next question. Did you start thinking in your head, well, hey, if I get to at least hole 13 or 11 and then the lead card gets through at least hole 9, then they'll be able to go from everyone through 9 holes? I mean, were you doing any of that math or research? Did any of those kind of scenarios play out at all in your head?
Yeah, they did, but I looked at the radar, looked at the weather. It was only getting worse, and I kind of just I knew that it wasn't a realistic possibility that we were gonna be able to restart. So I was disappointed. All in all, I respect the choice that Jeff and Nate made. It is the right choice thing to do, even if people don't like it. People like disagree with them. They did the right thing. So again, of course, I'm disappointed, but I can't. There's nothing I can do about it.
No. And I think that's a very correct, but also very mature way for you to recognize and realize that, player safety, clearly their number one concern. And some people, I think, accepted that so much better or understand that better than others. So many people have seen the picture from Madison Walker, the lightning strike that was over by 15. Were you at all nervous or fully nervous or not nervous at all about the weather yourself personally for your own safety?
Going back to that picture that Madison took, yeah, I was parked in my car actually, in that same parking lot. That from what it looks like, that lightning strike was probably 100, 150 feet from us, actually, and we were sitting there, and it came down, and that was the moment I'm like, okay, we gotta leave. They had just told us to go back to our cars and seek shelter, and then that happened. I'm like, okay, we gotta get out of here and go somewhere safe, inside some building somewhere, because the car is not gonna do it.
So you understood the significance of all of it. I mean, it wasn't there was no sugarcoating it or denying it as to what was going on out there. You understood it fully.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
because I've been in that situation before, and I know most times how it ends up.
So what's what's your stock answer? What have you been saying when people say things like,
"You would have won, man"?
Yeah, you had it wrapped up, or they stole $7,000 from you.
Well, actually, Terry, we've got our other guests on. We're bringing on Ricky and Calvin. Sorry, Kyle, your interview's over. No, I'm just kidding.
We're kidding. But what would you say? What are you saying when people say things like that? That you were gonna go on to win, and they stealing money right out of your hands. What? How do you respond to that? How have you been responding?
I've just been saying. Of course, I would have liked to be able to play the round and, finish what I started, and hopefully make a run at the win. But again, like I said earlier, I can be disappointed, but complaining's not going to do anything. I'm not going to sit here and wallow in my own pity. I say that they made the right choice. They did the right thing, and it's just unfortunate that it happened to play out that way. But again, they did the right thing by canceling that just for player safety.
And I think what he can look forward to is that he's quote unquote on a heater right now. I mean, there's nobody hotter than Kyle Klein going into Idlewild. So you can put that momentum, and I mean, if you really want, some players will do, that chip on your shoulder, and run with that into the next event.
Yeah, are you feeling a little revenge or added excitement maybe about hey, let's keep things rolling through these next 3 rounds at Idlewild?
Yeah, I feel like I'm on my side. Just from the last couple of events, of course. I played well on my home A tier, D-Glow, and Ledgestone. Preserve was a little bit of a bumpy road. Just didn't have the best weekend, but again, a couple tournaments, even going back to Worlds, I'm kind of feel like my game's been in a good spot, and I'm not looking forward to where this momentum kind of ends. But for as long as it lasts, I'm going to take it and run with it for as long as I can.
Yeah, certainly just got to keep riding it and hope that the ride never stops. Yeah,
Right.
there's and it's a great time. Not that there's any bad time to be having a great stretch, but right here in the thick of the season, through a lot of these really tough, wooded courses, and this big stretch in a row, racking up money, racking up points, doing all of those things. Obviously, hitting at a good time for sure.
Yeah.
When you're looking ahead to the rest of the year, you're one of the newer players that's fully on tour, and some people have been like, oh, I've been to MVP, I've been there 10 times, it's my favorite place, and I've been to GMC, it's great, and I can't wait to go back. Are you still getting super excited about some of these places that are either new or close to still new for you? Or is it just another weekend for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I think last year the northeastern stretch was my favorite string of tournaments to play. With even like the main state championships was awesome. Green Mountain MVP for the favorite 3 of 3. I'm like, I realized I'm in the Northeast. I'm in these mountains. It's awesome up there. So yeah, I'm just really glad to be going up there again soon.
Awesome. Anything about this weekend that how did you perform last year at Idlewild? Is there anything in particular about this weekend that you're looking forward to? Because there's going to be a lot of conversation coming into this weekend about what happened and how you closed out last weekend. So is there anything in particular you're most looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, I played okay at this tournament last year. I mean, at that point in time, a 13th place finish at a Pro Tour Elite Series was the biggest thing in the world for me. I think that had been my best finish in the Elite Series to that point. But going into this year, I'm definitely more prepared for the course. I know the course a little bit better. And at this point last year, my putting was in a little bit of a rocky place. So I think if I can throw the disc the same as I did last year, but again, get that putt going, I think I should have no problem being on lead card and a chance at the win.
We talked about you resetting goals for your PDGA rating. What are your goals trying to close out this 2021 season? I know it's still August, but if you're thinking like, you think ahead 3 months, it's November, it's December, and you're reflecting back, like what's another milestone or goal that you feel like is legitimately within your sights right now?
Number one would be picking up my first Elite Series win for sure. I've been close a number of times, but I feel like I'm definitely ready to have that opportunity again, especially after Deagle knowing I was 1 stroke short. I know what it takes to do it, and I think right now I can do it. It's all about a matter of actually getting it done. But I think we have 3 or 4 Elite Series left, and I think I think I can. I think I can do it.
Speaking of Deaglow, are you going to get your own shirt? We heard Eagle call you out for wearing his shirt, and are you going to have your own shirt so you can finally, one up him and beat him? Is that on the agenda?
Yeah, is Discmania on top of that?
Am I getting my own shirt?
Yeah, your own signature series shirt or some kind of collaboration after Eagle had said that he didn't feel it would be right for you to beat him while wearing his shirt, his signature shirt. Is Discmania on top of that? Do we need to start a petition?
Call UC.
I think there's some things happening right now that may suggest I am.
All right.
Nothing solidified yet. So
very coy. I like it.
And will you gift Eagle one? I mean, just give him one. And
yeah, be like, here, you should try this one.
Oh, that's great.
I think that would be incredible. I think that would be very fitting to see, you, Eagle, Simon, all exchanging shirts and admiration for one another out there. All right. It looks like our internet is continuing to struggle, so we're going to... Kyle, are you back? All right. From the audio side, it doesn't sound like it. If he comes back here in the next few moments, what we'd like to do is give him a chance to get some shout-outs. It sounds like you're coming back. We were just talking about the shirts, how they should all be out there and available, and all of you guys should be wearing each other's. We'd love to see that. But we'd love to give you a chance. If there's anything else that we didn't talk about or address or ask you about, either share it with us, and if you don't have any of that, go ahead and shout out your sponsors and anyone you want to give some props or shout outs to.
Yeah, in terms of just general news, not much for me, but again, like you said, my sponsors, I love them. They're doing awesome things for me right now, and couldn't be here without them. Discmania, NADGT, Grip Equipment, Mitten Bag, Great Lakes Disc, and Wolfpack. I couldn't be where I am without them, so thank them all for that.
Awesome. Couldn't agree more. It's been awesome watching you grow for these last few years into now a 1038 professional that's vying for the win on our Elite Series events. It's
week
kind
to
of
week.
This incredible story, and I've been very blunt in saying how your journey has been very inspirational, and I wish you nothing but the best, and looking forward to seeing you this weekend down in Kentucky. Thank you, Terry. All right, so
thank you, Terry.
I was just kidding. All right, well, Kyle.
I don't know if you heard me say that. I said that exact same thing.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. No, well, we're gonna let you go.
I did say it. The internet cut out.
We're gonna let your phone and the internet fatigue get a little rest and have it get rested up. We want you, Cynthia. We'd like to see you guys both refreshed and ready to go this weekend.
Congratulations to Cynthia on qualifying this weekend for the Throw Pink.
Yes, very cool.
It's great.
And looking forward to seeing you guys in just a couple days. I think you're probably obligated to be at the press conference, so maybe we'll rehash some of this face to face come Thursday.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, pal. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate it.
Good night, Kyle. Thanks.
See ya.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys.
See ya. All right, Kyle Klein.
Whew. Some nights are better than others for the internet, but
it
wasn't horrible. I mean, we've had worse.
Yes.
That's not saying much for us, but we've had worse. Thanks to Kyle for joining us, and I think at the new studio, I think we've only got 3 more shows here at this particular studio, and at the new studio, we'll have like a phone backup option, so that we can have a phone call in case people just need to phone it in, more than we do.
Yes. Well, again, thank you to everyone. I know a little bit choppy there. Trust me, it's even tougher for a guy with one good ear. That's me. But we do appreciate his patience, and we appreciate all of you guys listening in. You want to jump right into let's
some scores? There's
a whole bunch of stuff going on, so let's ride that train. Let's talk a little bit more about the Ledgestone Insurance Open, and let's go ahead and recap that. Thank you, Andy, for the super chat.
Oh, in honor of hotel Wi-Fi. I know. I was using some. I paid for plane Wi-Fi. And I got like on a 2.5 hour flight, I got basically like an hour and 30 minutes before it just crapped out on me and I couldn't get anything. So I was a little frustrated, but what do you do? So let's talk about some results. As we alluded to and jokingly said, Ricky and Kelvin tying for the win. The first time it's ever happened in history, I heard. Or not. Ricky and Kelvin tying for the win after a shortened Ledgestone event. Third place, Eagle McMahon. Fourth place, Andrew Marweed. Tied with Drew Gibson. Our guest tonight, Kyle Klein. taking 6th place.
Because we usually have the 6th place finisher join us.
That's what...
It's a new thing we're starting.
The 6th place. Who are we going to have on next week, Terry? Come on, go and throw that out there.
Whoever finished in 17th, let's take them.
Should we do the random number generator and just pick a number? Like, you get to be on Smashbox tonight. That would be great. Chris Dickerson and Cole
Redalin?
Yes, very good. We heard it pronounced a lot of different ways. It's Redalin. We heard Redalin. We heard Redalin, but it's Redalin. So congratulations. 9th place, Nicola Castro, and 10th place, Maddie O. So congratulations to all those players. I'll move right over to FPO. This was a blowout, even though she had said a few times that she didn't feel comfortable with even 15 strokes going into Northwood modified black, so to speak. Paige Pierce by 11 over Missy Gannon. Sarah Holcomb in 3rd. Valerie Mondahano in 4th. Tied for 5th, Haley King and Maria Oliva. So congratulations to those women on some great payout at this event, as there always is. The first place, I'm going to throw it in quotes, for MPO took home $10,000. So I have to assume that first and second split the winnings, as there was no playoff.
Wait, there wasn't?
There wasn't a playoff, Terry.
Oh, I thought I just missed it.
No, we'll get to that, Terry. We'll get to that. And then Paige Pierce takes home $4,000 for this win. So not too bad.
And to follow that up, I wonder if it is still. Oh shoot, it's not at my fingertips like it was the day before the event finalizes. There's a projected payout before the final round, and scores come in, and then you can take a look at that, and then so you kind of have a little snapshot of obviously not only the projected payout but some of the other specifics to the event. And when it was all said and done, I think I did the math, and there was 73,000 or 75-ish thousand added to the 2 pro MPO and FPO divisions in total.
That's it? Why didn't he add more?
It was...
You saw how much he gave to charity. Why not just take some of that?
It was absolutely absurd how much was added to the purses.
Is crazy.
And one could say, I know there could be a conversation piece about Paige Pierce getting her $4,000. I want to say it was like a 359% payout, and the men's side had a 289% or whatever the number was. There was a greater proportional number that was added when you look at the proportions and the percentages to the FPO side. Obviously, a massive difference in the field size, but when you're stacking up dollar for dollar in terms of the percentages, it was even much greater on the FPO side. And to see a $4,000 payout, I don't want to say for a regular event, but for a non-major, I don't care what you say. That's right. Very significant. So
I feel like the Ledgestone is almost a major with a lowercase m these days. It's just one of those events that the pros come to realize you have to go to. And for those of you that are relatively new to the sport, I just think back about this course, the Eureka course, and the flack that it got those first year or two that it was on the tour. And not for nothing, there were a few quirks on that course, a few bad holes. Mm-hmm. The volleyball hole comes into mind. But the course hasn't changed that much. People used to make fun of the baseball diamond hole. The hole 6, the giant, dog leg to the right has changed on and off. The bridge hole, people would laugh about that, how you're throwing over this bridge. These are all kind of become iconic, with the water tower, throwing around the water tower and having the long walk. And Nate Heinold, I give him a lot of credit that he saw a vision, he executed on it, and over the last 5-6 years, he has really modified this course with some bigger than others, but a lot of little tweaks, and made it one of the top courses on tour. And then goes and takes over Northwood Black, or Northwood, and by the way, it's Northwood, no S on that.
Correct.
I know a lot of people, I heard a couple of podcasts. It's tougher for us because we actually have a Northwoods in our area, but the Northwood Black course, was almost universally liked, it seemed like, by most of the pros. I think a lot of them were skeptical going in, but by the time they came out, I really haven't heard any complaints about the actual course, which is kind of shocking.
Yeah,
not for the course. There's other things they complain about.
Yeah, I mean, and clearly, I think it's unanimous that people have said once it wears in, once there's more play, once the fringe and the rough isn't as intense as it is now, I think a lot of that's just going to come with natural wear and tear. So, of course, that's something that's going to eventually happen over time. And then, again, aside from the design element, people's either frustration or hang-up can be on byproducts of the course, which are, some of the backups that take place out there, the overall, which then leads to the overall length of the round. Obviously, from a media perspective, 100% challenged by the fact of a lack of cellular signal that's in that general area, and we really struggled for years to cover almost anything in Northwood Park, period. And then a good majority of the Northwood Black course is almost even deeper and further away from the nearby cellular towers. Those are all byproducts of the new design, but the design and the play itself seem to get a like you said, an overwhelming majority of people that really enjoyed the individual holes, really enjoyed the course. There's a few dog legs that I think some people, maybe didn't absolutely love, but as we
14.
said, for the most part, people really enjoyed the course. It's just when we have a course of that nature, then a few of these other elements kind of, pile on top of it, and how we work through all those. I think that's something we're going to have to continue to ask ourselves is, and I think the big question becomes, and this is a very large scale question, is, are events, what's everyone's objective and or priority for their event? Is it to challenge players? Is it to have the most amount of money? Is it to have the largest fields? Is it to have the best fields? Is it to have the toughest course? Is it to have the most amount of courses? Or
okay, I think you just named off everything Nate Heinel's trying to do.
I'm just saying,
literally,
I know, but
biggest event, most money, hardest courses. That's what Nate kind of prides himself on.
But at one thing, and those are all maybe correct, but I think the one significant drawback, as we all experienced, was then that course was then sacrificing signal, and every TD, I guess is my point, every TD and or tour has to decide which is their priority. Would the rest of the world said, well, I could have lived with them playing a different course because then I could have seen more golf. And then you just have a philosophical and question of, who is that most concerning to? Is it the players? Is it the TD? Is it the fans? Is it the on-site fans and spectators? Is it the live or the post-production fans and spectators?
What's the priority?
Yeah, who is most serviced and disserviced? And I just think a lot of times, not all of those priorities don't perfectly align to the same exact answer. So that is clearly a large takeaway from this event.
Here is my complaint about the event. Now that we've pumped Nate up because he is a phenomenal TD and he's a great fundraiser and he clearly has a knack for developing difficult courses. One, I think that course needed to be played at a relatively solid event before debuting at the Pro Tour. And I don't know if that happened, so forgive me if it already did.
I mean, they had an event out there, a flex start, where they talked about where people came, various skill levels. They challenged. They knew roughly. I mean, I think Nate had said that he feels like 6 or 7 over would be 1,000 rated, and it was almost right on the money.
Okay.
With how it shook out for this weekend. Was it all of the best players in the Midwest that were there? Absolutely not.
Of course not. So knowing that, I think you have to be able to. The one part where I think Nate Heinel fell down is this course is that difficult. This is literally an elite level course. This is not a course I would ever go out and play. Not from those events. It wouldn't be fun. you have to look at that and realize this is not a course for 136 players, period. Because that's where our backups get caused, is when you have even, I hate to say it, but even 970 rated golfers should not play this course.
Correct.
Like, this is truly a pro tour course. You should be an elite level player to play this course. And it is going to cause trouble every time. So I think where Nate fell down is you need to take this information that we have this year, and if we plan on playing it next year, I don't know. Obviously, we're literally a year out. No one's made any decisions. There's a lot to decide. If they plan on playing it again, you have to limit your field size to like 72. Create bigger buffers between groups to allow smoother play, because nobody in today's day and age should have a 4-card backup, ever. There should never be a 4-card backup. I don't mind a backup. You have a 1-card backup, maybe even a 2 if someone's on the fairway. We saw a 4-card backup.
Sure.
And it wasn't in the place where everyone thought. It wasn't at hole 12.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was on hole 14, and I believe there was a half-hour backup on hole 6. And that is unacceptable on a pro tour level. So either the course needs to be tweaked and changed, which I don't see a world where Nate Heindel comes in and goes, let's make this course easier.
Sure.
It just doesn't seem like the right move or the right nature, especially maybe some things are decided and things slightly change. But I really think you need to limit the pro field and go to a smaller field size to allow better flow. And I think this event could have gone much smoother with this course. Eureka can handle 136 players, but maybe still only 72. Or you find a way to pool it, but even that, I don't necessarily know if that's the best decision. I would rather just see it be 72 top players. If you're not taking top 72, you shouldn't be out there, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I guess I'll kind of echo that. Not only, could you talk about greater distance between the actual cards and limiting the amount of cards, as we also experienced and saw, at a course like, there were literally 0 weather delays or backups that took place Friday or Saturday out at that course. You throw in a 30-minute backup, just one 30-minute backup at any point, or delay, I should say, into that setting, and that throws the whole day out of whack. You're officially not finishing on the day that you started on.
Our cameras were as wide open as they could be for light, and we were still getting darkness.
Yeah, that I think, and you say, well, how much of a delay should you ever account for at a tournament? I don't know what that magic number is. At least a 30-minute delay. Should you have a buffer of 1 or 2 hours? I don't know, and clearly we're always hoping for good weather, but you have to be thinking about that, just big picture as to, if you have any delay, and this isn't just about the Ledgestone course and the event, that's anywhere where you're thinking about, man, how many people can I get in at this time, whether it's that time of year or on this style of course. I think the same thing for a C tier in November. People say, let's go play this other better course that's down the road from where we currently play, which is also a good course. And I'm just like, we can't start early enough in the day and finish, even if we have perfect weather. There's just not enough time to get in, 2 rounds in that case for my November event. So you have to be taking those things into consideration. And then you always are talking about, well, start earlier. I've heard enough complaints throughout the years at dozens of events of, man, we were here before the sun was even up, getting our practice in and ready to go, and the sun was barely out and the fog hadn't even cleared, and we're playing at 6:45 or 7 or 7:15 or whatever time in the morning. You can't always just push things up, just like you can't always just keep things going. So those are all big picture issues, and then what the perfect solution is for how we play a Northwood Black, I don't know. I mean, like you said, there's a certain skill level that should be at this event, and anything below that immediately is you're now. Granted, we all know a 10-20 player can go, one of the best in the world, Paul Macbeth, can go out there and shoot 4 over on his given day, but And usually if you're terrible, you don't necessarily take a lot of time to throw your shots.
No,
might
you
throw
don't.
them. Most of the time they move quicker, but nonetheless, I had someone tell me, I went out and I played Eureka and I ate my lunch and it's just not scoreable. And then I looked at what their player rating was. I'm like, yeah.
It's not scoreable for you.
It's not. It's not meant to be for you. Some of these courses and designs, that's why there are various levels of course design and or labels that get attached to them. They're not designed for you. Just like 18 200 footers aren't designed for our top players. Well, par 75 with water carries and OB carries aren't designed for a 940 rated player either. So there's a reason you don't score well out there. Not all courses are the same.
They're right. All right, let's move on to the next point of contention.
Real quick, though, before you do that.
Sure.
Just a super quick shout-out. Shasta Chris took it down in Pro Masters. Steve Boylan took it down in a playoff.
Those Masters, we're going to talk about more Masters in a little bit here.
But Steve Boylan took it down in a playoff, a three-way playoff. And so on and so forth. So I want to name off a couple of the other professional divisions out there. Will Rosa took it down in Pro Masters, 60 over. And then there were a ton of top competitors and finishers for the other 1,700 competitors at this tournament. So big shout out to those other professional divisions and all event winners. All right.
The other point of contention at this event was, as we discussed with Kyle a little bit, the called event. Ending the event after 3 rounds, the decision to do it, and when I say decision, I kind of mean like there was no decision to be made. It was pretty obvious and clear what had to happen. Once the Lightning showed up, you have to delay. I looked at the live, and for those of you that were watching live, by the way, thank you for suffering through us showing the whole day again. We started with FPO and then we rolled into MPO. We started with what we showed from MPO, then we rolled into FPO, and by the time that was done, we went back to MPO before we were finally able to call the event. But there was not truly a decision to be made here, because once the Lightning came, and if it wasn't leaving by the time it was dark, that's it. You're done. You cannot. I'm looking at the decision process for cancellations right now on the PDGA page. There's 8 levels, so to speak, that a TD can look at in order to make their decision. The first one is, as we all talked about, 13 holes. If you can get 13 holes in, 13 holes count. The next step is 9 holes. If you can get 9 holes in, 9 holes count. Then the TD, if he knows beforehand, he can literally just cut the field down to 72 players and say, oh, I know we're not going to have a chance to finish this. We're going to cut down to 72, and that's life. He can do the same thing down to 54 competitors, cut down to 54, reducing the number of holes, literally the entire layout, to a 13-hole layout. So beforehand, if they feel like they're not going to get the thing in, they could have gone down to a 13-hole layout. Or a 9-hole layout. You can go down to a 9-hole layout. Number 7 is reducing the number of holes to a final 9 for only the top 4 competitors plus ties of the affected divisions. So imagine showing up to that course and Nate's like, hey, we don't think we're going to get this in. We're just going to do a final 9 with you 4. And finally, the 8th, the bottom level, the last thing you could truly do was reduce to just breaking any first place ties, which actually would have been significant here. So if there were time that night, and I don't know if by the time that the Lightning had left, there was still rain and there was still some weather, but I think the Lightning had gone. It was like 7:30 or 7:45. It was almost dark. If the players were still there, Nate could have literally just said, okay, just the 2 players who are currently tied in first place from the 3rd round will play off. We'll have a playoff. And basically it's a, first one to not birdie or first one to take a bogey or whoever, it's sudden death. And that could have happened. It's not a decision anybody wants to make. Like, nobody. I know Nate was, I don't want to say distraught, but I know it was a very difficult decision for Nate Heinold to make the call that he did for a co-champion, because every TD wants to see their event finish. But those are the layers. And then the PDGA says at the very bottom, as we've all heard, under no circumstances should players be expected or asked to return on a day following the last day of the regular scheduled rounds to conduct a sudden death playoff. And I know you kind of had a podcast afterwards talking a lot about this, but nobody listens to you, so I figure Smashbox is the place to quickly discuss it. So that's really what it is. And you can argue all you want with the rules. You can petition to make them changed, but this is what they are currently. So there really wasn't much of a decision to be made.
Yeah, and I think a few main takeaways are, as you said, nobody loves these decisions. I mean, you're put in these. This is the ultimate damned if you do and damned if you don't. No matter what way you do it, somebody's going to be displeased. I had made the comment earlier in the day when we first had a rain delay. I said, look at anyone that had a good round out there. And then you had looked and you're like, oh, Zachariah Johnson had a good round. I swear we hung up the phone and moments later, Zachariah Johnson posted his Facebook, hey, shot a great round, could really move up today, but Mother Nature looks like they have other plans and it might not or won't count. And of course, and then you obviously the story of Kyle and his great start. There's so many things that you could look at in, hindsight, woulda, coulda, shouldas. I don't love, no one does. No one's like, heck yeah, so glad to see it end in a tie. Of course, no one is saying that, but I also feel like there's a lot of other ignorant things that are either getting thrown around, and I'm a firm believer in this, and I'll say it of myself all day. Just because you can think it and say it doesn't mean it's right or true. And there's a lot of people that throw out a lot of things that I would call an opinion that sound great to them. And I know we have to brainstorm and spitball and throw ideas against the wall, but just because it sounds really good and you're really passionate about it doesn't necessarily still mean it was the right call or is a good idea. Someone had reached out and said, and I said I'd bring it up for the sake of the podcast.
Awesome. How would you feel if someone said, all right, the way we break ties in play right now is by previous hot round. That's the established rule, is previous hot round. Let's just say they had different rounds, which I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah, they must have. They arrived at those, negative 17s differently. Yep. Would it be infuriating? Would it be insane to declare the winner based on the previous hot round? No. I don't think it'd be insane. I mean, I don't like it. Scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like it? Like a 3 or a 4. I mean, here's what it does. It gives a definitive winner. Does. It says emphasis on what have you done for me lately. That's even though it's funny because you could have, in theory, in all unlikely scenario, you could have shot course record, mediocre round, and then someone comes along and shoots mediocre, course record, one better, just one better than what you did the previous round, and yet you're still tied, and you lose, and then you lose it that way. But again, that's a crazy scenario. And then you have to run into weird scenarios about what if they have the exact same scores for 3 rounds? That too, or what if you play different courses? What if literally? So it's a 4-round event, like at a Worlds. At a Worlds, there's a shuffle. Somehow it gets canceled. The round after the shuffle. How do you determine it then? There are downsides to that scenario, for certain. Okay, but I would not want it to be done that way. But if you came out and said nobody likes a tie, and we have to determine a winner, that's the way we're going to do it. With a gun to my head, sure. Fair to say. But hold on. What's the difference between that and the way these guys play? Going back based on birdies. Yeah, birdies. Starting at 18 and say, oh, guess what? You birdied 18 and you didn't. You parred it. You're the winner. Or most amount. What about most amount of birdies? I mean, there's a lot of ways we get least amount of bogeys. Sure. Shot most above your rating on average. Oh, I don't like that one, but sure. Okay. What about PDGA number? No.
That's a tiebreaker right now. That's a very legitimate tiebreaker of how you get onto a card.
Sure, but that should not be a winning tiebreaker ever. 0. I hate it with like that. That's like on the hate scale, it's like a 12. On the love scale, it's a -3.
Okay. Yeah, those are all thoughts that could be thrown out there. I, of course, don't like that either. In terms of your PDGA number, but it's funny because we use PDGA number as a legitimate tiebreaker.
We do, but it's a tiebreaker that doesn't truly mean anything. It's a difference between what card you're on.
Sure.
It doesn't really affect the results of anything else. And I'm seeing some chat on the board. A lot of people are screaming about, well, why didn't they start this sooner? Why didn't Nate? We knew there was storms coming in. Why didn't he cut down to 54 and start earlier in the day? That could have happened. If you truly looked at the storm and said, hey, yeah, that's, there's a really good chance this is going to hit us. Let's cut and start earlier. But, and I don't love to say it, there are media decisions that need to be made. We were covering FPO.
Mm-hmm.
So is it right? How mad would people be if you told them the schedule for us was to cover FPO in the morning, but the men are playing, so see you later, ladies. We're going to go cover the men. How bad, does that make the Pro Tour look? How bad is that from a PR perspective? Is that fair to the FPO? And I say, no, it's not. Just because the men have to cut out early. Because we know based on numbers, they're the ones that get the bigger viewership.
Audience draw.
So does that mean that's right where we should be? Or because it's always planned, even if we did only have 54 players, and we were playing with spread out things, that start time doesn't change.
I was just going to say, let's go extreme and say
that's even if it's a perfect day, that's when the start time is because of the needing to get the round in the FPO. And there's all sorts of decisions that can be made later next year, but this is what was made this year. This was the schedule that the Pro Tour was given or worked out with Nate, or however it happened. I'm not privy to any of those talks. It's not my view. I click a bunch of buttons and tell cameramen to move. That's about what I do. So ultimately, I mean, there was the men were going to start at that time regardless.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, if we really want to think about it, you go to even an extreme and say, yes, weather delays weather is coming. Which a few years ago, by the way, I was there when weather was forecasted for the final day. There were some provisions that were taken, some things that were moved around. And then coincidentally, the weather was bad, but not nearly as bad as it was forecasted. Mm-hmm. And things still got done a little earlier, but it was like, okay, that wasn't nearly as bad as we thought. I mean, as we all know, weather's 100% unpredictable.
Yeah,
it is, but it's not.
How would it look if Nate decided that morning, hey, we're going to cut down to 54 people, and the storm pushed 20 miles south, and the lightning,
and we never saw a drop,
and the lightning was further south, and maybe it just rained a little bit, but there was no reason for cancellation. How do the other players that were just flat out eliminated, how do they feel? Do you feel like you got ripped off of a round of your tournament?
Like they got hit by a bolt of lightning.
Ooh.
I mean, I was going to go to an extreme and say, even if the night before or there was a provision that said you can cut down to 8 FPO and 8 MPO, and that's all that's going out on Sunday. Let's just make up a crazy scenario and say that was the plan because they're worried about weather. There would still need to be a significant space between the FPO wrapping up,
minimum of an hour,
and the MPO getting started. There would have to be from a media technology, non-time travel, space warp sense. That would need to happen. It's nearly an hour from sunset just to get to Eureka, and then you're talking about cameramen, transports,
or Northwood Black to Eureka, which is where the
women were. Where they were. Correct. So it's not quite as far in this case. In years past, it's been sunset to Eureka, which is nearly an hour. Mm-hmm. So, batteries charging, all those types of things that need to be in place. There's still going to be a separation, and you're still not guaranteed a certain time frame. So
now, real quick, I think we've hammered that. Let me get on my soapbox.
Wait, you're not on it?
No.
Okay.
That's not why I'm taller than you. It's not a soapbox or platforms or anything like that. It's just your unfortunate genetics, Terry Miller.
I'm like a good beer. I'm stout.
I understand that. Tournament directors, look me in the eye right now, right here.
Oh, this is getting creepy.
If you have a 4-round event, cut the field. Period. Every 4-round event should have a cut.
I second that.
Every 4-round event should have a cut at the cash line on the 4th round. Every 4-round event should have a cut at the cash line.
Yeah, I like it.
Everyone.
Which ones, though?
Every 4-round event should have a cut at the cash line.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I think that is great. I understand there's some economics to it that are pros and cons and whatever from a...
I don't care.
But I can get on board with it. I certainly could get on board with that.
Just saying I don't care.
Yeah, as Peter says, made the cut, got paid, just like the old Vibram Maple Hill, the Open at Maple Hill, sponsored by Vibram, MVP Open, whatever it was.
If you don't want to make a cut, don't have that many people. Only have as many people as there's a cash line. Pay everybody then. Guess what? We're going to have 54. We're paying all 54. That's how you get around not having a cut. Otherwise, get a cut. Actually, have 55. Cut one guy. Just be a jerk. Just one person. Whoever's in DFL, you're done. Get out.
You end it out. Yeah, that clearly provides some more breathing room for that final round. It's not going to necessarily solve all the problems. If you have a 4-hour rain delay, you have a 4-hour, either rain halt or delay, whatever you want to call it at that point. But eliminating a good portion of the field within the various divisions, I can get behind that entirely. And by then, you've got your best players that are going to be traversing through the course for your smoothest, best experiences at that point, hopefully, by the end of the weekend. I can get behind that.
Exactly. And then that actually kind of rolls right into like what we could possibly expect for next year. And I know there have been talks about tour cards for the Disc Golf Pro Tour next year. Right now, we can't do a day after the tournament, but I could see a scenario where if you have a Pro Tour card, you're a touring pro, this is your job.
Still hate it.
I hate it too, rolling into the next day. Now, I hate it for a couple of reasons. I hate it because, A, our tournament directors aren't necessarily paid enough to take another day off. If I were running an event, I have a 9 to 5 that I need to be at Monday. You don't have volunteers, more than likely on a Monday. Same reason.
Lots of them travel sometimes hours and hours to get to.
And I know we don't have a ton of cash. There's a few people that it doesn't affect. But you get down into like, I don't know, anywhere below 13th place on average, probably in the tour. And those people, those men and women are probably not appreciative of paying an extra $200 to $300 to $400 to stay another night when they could be moving to the next event and practicing. So I don't love the idea of going to Monday, but I'm saying next year, and I truly haven't heard anything. I could see a scenario in the next year or two with a Pro Tour card that you say, that's what you're signing up for. But not this year, because the rules are in the book, and you follow the rules.
I know that's the number one response, and whether it's been tonight on the board or on the Facebooks or everywhere else on the tweeters, is we have to come back Monday. We're not a serious event. I think someone just posted that we're not a serious sport or event if we are not coming back on Monday to wrap this up. And I just politely disagree, because our sport and our economics are simply not there. And just as I replied to a tweet yesterday and said, a line has to be drawn. What happens when it's to resume at 9 a.m. Monday morning? It's raining at 9 a.m. It's lightning at 9 a.m. Then it gets pushed back to 10 or noon or 2. Where does a line get drawn if you're, and I'm not saying we can't ever have a contingency plan and, people can't be at all flexible, but at a certain point, where are you, who's arbitrarily drawing these lines as, okay, well, that's enough. Yeah. I mean, I think about these people have played for 4 days in this case. Sure, it's a relatively short trip down to Kentucky, but now they're spending another night probably unplanned in the area. Most have checked out of your hotel, your Airbnb, your campsite. You're done with all of that. There's no guarantees that you can go back to where you were. So you're going to have to spend another night there. Now you wake up in the morning and it's raining.
So
like, cool.
Yeah.
What was that for? Oh, by the way, so that you can maybe go from 72nd place to 68th place and you now just won $17 more or $170 more.
Here's the workaround for that.
This isn't. We're not PGA yet, folks.
Truly, but I think this is the workaround that you take. In the event that the final round gets canceled, you just take the top card for the next day. Period. One card. Everybody else, you're stuck where you're at. Fifth through 70th.
So Kyle doesn't make it.
Sorry, Kyle. What's the difference for Kyle right now? He either takes 6th or he takes 6th. Like, there's no difference, but you still at least get to determine a champion. And the guys who are finishing top 4, I hate to say it, usually they can afford to stay another day because either the event is going to maybe that's part of it. Maybe the event has to pay for it. I know it sounds stupid.
Bullshit.
Why
should an event have to pay
if you're
for
a pro
it?
tour event, you're already raising a ton of money.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but
you know what you should do? That's your statement here.
No, not at all. I'm saying that could happen. Or the pro tour has to pay for it. If these events want a champion and you are going to force these players to come back, then they should be compensated maybe. Maybe then the tour or the event has to pay for they have to comp a night. Here, every player gets $150 or whatever a determination is. And as a pro, you're signing up for this. Like, you could leave. If you're in 3rd place and you don't want to stay another day, cool. Guess what? You take 4th place then. Because you are locked into a position. Like the old Final Nines. You can't fall below it, but that's the way it goes. I mean, I know it sucks, but if you at a pro tour or we'll say elite level caliber event, maybe that's just it might happen once every 3 years. And so if that's the case, maybe the pro tour has to pay for that. Maybe they have to comp. But I see a scenario in the future where we will determine a champion somehow. I don't think, mark my words, after next year, we will never see, never. I hate speaking absolutes. We probably will not see another
I can't
tie.
wait for a tornado to be scheduled every single day after every single tournament.
Yes,
that's what I want. Is I want a tornado.
I just
so
think
that we can make sure that happens. That no matter what, they're coming up because I mean, if weather's bad on Sunday, it's always going to be perfect and ready to go come Monday morning.
I know.
Mother Nature makes that deal.
I know.
I mean,
that's why
it's got to end. It's got to end somewhere, and I don't love a tie. Clearly, I'm not advocating for ties.
You're a big soccer fan, though.
Yeah,
and a big football fan.
I was just going to say it's funny.
And a big hockey fan.
Plenty of other professional sports can end in ties. I'm no expert, but can't even deathly MMA fights end in draws. I mean, they have you can be 0-4 or 6-6-2. Those end in some kind of a draw or some kind of a tie. Disc golf can. It's so obscure and it's such a. I mean, we've seen it how many times in our lives?
Ties.
That you can recall
on the pro tour. Or on an elite series event, I believe 3 times now. I believe it was DDO, Nick Hyde, and now this. These are the 3 events, and I believe it was for DDO and Nick Hyde. I believe they were both FPO.
Yep, FPO side.
And then now we've seen an MPO one. Those are the 3 that I can remember from. I'm just going to use the M with a lowercase. Major events that we've seen in the past 10 years. Those are the ones I can think of. I'm sure it's happened in B tiers and C tiers and maybe even A tiers, things that we don't cover or that go under the radar. But as far as I just think that at some point there was enough of a backlash this weekend from people, and rightfully or not, that I think this will be looked at. And I think hopefully the prize money is enough. When your minimum, we'll say 4th place, is going to take home $3,000, we'll say, that you can stay an extra night. I know it sucks, and I know it because you might have a plan to fly out to Europe the next day.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, if everybody, guess what? If all four of you agree that, hey, we're all flying out to Europe, for the European Open the next Monday, on Monday, maybe everybody just takes the position they're in. Maybe one guy's lucky. He's like, I'm not going to Europe. I'm going to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, and I know that was the main point I kept driving home is
I understand that.
Monday morning, especially specifically, I mean, it just happens to fit into my narrative for the story we're in Peoria, and like I said, Ricky's flying to Europe. 6 a.m. He's flying to Europe for a 6-week European leg. Calvin says, I'm not. I'm going to stick around the U.S. and continue to dominate. But Ricky has a flight at 6 a.m. to Europe on Monday morning. And we're like, yeah. Oh, you don't want to change your flight, Ricky? You don't want to spend a few $1,000s to do that to maybe go out and throw 2 more shots? Yep. Sorry, you're taking second because you're playing off come morning.
Sorry.
And Calvin wins. I
know it sucks. And it would feel bad. I just don't know a different or better solution because people, and I don't mind the tie. Let me put it this way. I'm okay with this. But I saw some of the backlash come.
Of course. And because it's a no-win situation.
And I know.
Literally.
It's a no, yeah. Nice. No, you're wrong. It's a 2-win situation. Yeah. So,
True.
So ultimately, I think knowing the PDGA, knowing the Pro Tour, knowing some of our people that are in control from the TDs straight up through Jeff Spring, I think it's going to be addressed. And I don't see it not happening in the next 2 years. Just that's my guess. That's my guess.
That's fine. Luke, I couldn't disagree with you more. And this was your phrasing is very similar to what was said when the DDO ended in a tie a few years ago. Because of a similar situation with weather and everything as we just referenced, you said, well, if they know Monday is a possible, then no one books travel on Monday. So you're not going to book travel for 40 Mondays. You're not booking travel because you're like, well, there might be a playoff that doesn't, there might be a tie on Sunday night. So Monday morning, I'm not going anywhere. I don't care if I have 19 hours to the next trip. Sunday night, I'm just going to plan on not traveling until at least noon or 1 or 2 or 4 on Monday.
PGA does it. And I know
PGA gets in a plane and plays for millions of dollars.
I understand that.
It's so not comparable.
It's comparable. It's just not the same. I get it. I get what you're saying. That they have charter jets. Not all of them, but
most of them get on a plane and fly to the next event.
I would love to know how and I don't know this truly, how the Nike Tour, I don't even know if it's called the Nike Tour anymore, honestly. Basically the minor league golf. How does that work? Do they make those guys stay an extra day when because they're literally driving? It's not much different than us. They're driving to these different events. How does it work with them? And I don't know. But Eagle on here is saying, I'm just still sitting here at third. Whatever, man.
Is Eagle?
Eagle was on the chat, and he just kind of gave a smile. I'm over here at third just thinking So anyway, those are the discussion points. Those are what we're hearing. Ultimately, what's fair is what happened. The
rules that exist were applied,
and that's all you can ask for.
I can support.
Yep.
I am all about a continued discussion and some of these ideas, dumb or otherwise, to at least be exhausted and further discussed. And whatever ultimately is decided upon, I will then support if it becomes the new policy, procedure, or rule. I just obviously think some of those are better than others, and I'm not necessarily in favor of that next Monday. And one of my other big key points is here we are in a 4-week grind, the third out of 4 weeks. We just played a 4-round tournament, or about to play, whatever you want to call it. We then have an event that's within 4 or 6 hours or whatever, which happens to be relatively close, but people already can be fatigued physically or mentally, and then we're talking about them turning around and getting ready for the next event when they've got a drive time, they've got practice time, and all the other things that they want to do to perform their best. And so we're continuing to shorten that window. And all of this conversation excludes the media personnel as well.
I understand because
now the media is also then backed up in these scenarios.
Yeah, because we talked in the control room when, like, and I don't think it was ever serious, but there were rumors about playing the next day. And I looked at Mo and I said,
"Yeah, you got to work."
I'm like, I have a 9 to 5, dude. I will not be here at 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 if that decision came down, which I don't think it was ever truly going to happen. But, you know, there were whispers that, you know, some people were hoping it would happen. And of course, some people were hoping it would happen. And I just looked and I said, cool, good luck. Like, sorry, I can't do this. Now, maybe Gary or one of the other guys could have. Ian, our other switcher.
I think we should have just flown you to your job. I mean, that's what they should have done.
Like a jetpack? Because I'm not that far away. So, anyway, I think we've hammered that into the ground. I would like to move on to a PDGA major.
Is there any playoffs? There were.
Were there? There was a final 9, which we don't see much anymore, but I don't believe there was a playoff.
I thought there was, but maybe there's not. All right, let's move into the Pro Masters. I appreciate, let me also preface this by saying a number of people reached out and said, hey, are you going to be at the Pro Masters Worlds filming that or being part of that? And boy, oh boy, I love Ledgestone. I love the event and everything it has going on in our Disc Golf Network and Disc Golf Pro Tour events and obligations. I also would have loved being at this PDGA Major. I personally was only at Ledgestone Monday through Friday as it was. My sister, congrats to her, and her new husband Lance got married on Saturday. So I was out no matter what. I was out on Friday night. So even if I wasn't part of the Ledgestone event and the Disc Golf Network and Pro Tour and all of that, I wouldn't have been down at the Pro Masters Worlds because I still would have had to leave from that early. So as much as I would have loved to be in like 3 or 4 places during this 1 week, there's kind of the backstory to it. But a lot of people reached out and asked if I was going to be there and covering it. And as we saw, there were a number of other teams that were there doing some coverage.
I'm very sorry to do this and backtrack real quick.
Oh, jeez.
What if the playoff decision, what if you say we're canceling the final round and, you know, Ricky and Calvin are tied, but the winner is the first, maybe there's the first playoff one as where you were on the course at that point, just between those two. So like we were 3 holes in, Ricky has a lead, and I don't know what happens if they're tied after that.
Well,
it just hit me. So like, hey, guess what?
But what if they were tied for the? Yeah. Oh, you're saying only if they had played the same holes?
Correct. Like no, like you cut
because in theory, otherwise, like Kyle would have won.
No, correct. You cut the event. Like you say, guess what? There's that round doesn't count. But as a tiebreaker, where were you when the call was canceled between the two leaders? So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Okay,
but,
just a thought. All right, let's talk about Pro Masters 40 Plus winning, taking first place all by himself. There's only one first place guy here, so it's a little weird.
You wouldn't have guessed it at the beginning of the week because these guys were neck and neck, and he and Chris and a couple others were tied. It felt like every round I did an update and looked at it, I felt like somebody was tied for the lead at the World Championships. But winning it outright was
David Feldberg, Borg, as he's known as. He wins by 1 stroke over Michael Joe. Mr. MJ.
Some people wouldn't have guessed because going into the finals, he was tied with Chris Villa.
Mm-hmm.
And the final 9 was the deciding factor there for him to pull ahead because Chris he wasn't wire to wire by any means, but I mean, he was in that conversation, I feel like tied or outright leading almost the entire event, it felt like. Almost every time. Obviously, does that include first round? I think he even had a share of the lead. Yeah, Chris was right there at every moment, and the final 9 is what ultimately decided.
That's why I'm so anti-Final 9. Not true. I love Final 9s. So David Feldberg wins. Michael Joe takes second. Stevie Rico, I believe this is his first Pro Masters playing this year. Congratulations. Takes third. Tied with Chris Villa. 5th place, Brad Schick. Tied with Jason Light. 7th place, Philo Brathwaite, tied with Dutch Napier. So congratulations to all you guys. Those are the guys who basically won over $1,000 playing in the old man's division. My favorite. That's where I play. Not in the pro part, though. Let's be silly. Don't be silly. And Pro Masters women 40+, dominating, crushing, just putting the hammer down.
And celebrating her birthday today.
Own Scoggins.
Happy
Congratulations.
birthday.
She won by 23 strokes. Like, it wasn't ever close. It was a wire-to-wire win. She had a 6-stroke lead. No, I'm sorry. She had a 2-stroke lead over Melody Bailey after the first round. And then just continued to, just up and at 'em. So congratulations, Elaine. Or I'm sorry, Own. Second place was Elaine King, the ageless wonder, playing in that division when she could have been playing maybe in a different division, we'll just say. Third place, Jen Allen. Fourth place, Melody Bailey. Congratulations. Pro Masters 50+. Barry Schultz beating out Ron Converse and Matt Peckham.
Barry Schultz, a little bit. I mean, not only is he obviously one of the most decorated players of all time, one of the most dominant and well-known players of all time, he is also, I think, as I saw, the first player
to win.
I'll read the exact tweet. It says, Barry Schultz is the first player in disc golf history to win a PDGA World Championship in MPO, 2-time, 2003 and 2004, MP40, 2-time, and now an MP50 1-time. So congrats to Wisconsin's original or native Wisconsinite in Barry Schultz taking it down. And I think I also saw or heard him say something like, this is one of the most competitive weeks of golf he's ever had. He was right there. I know he was battling hard with the likes of obviously Ron Converse, but also Patrick Brown, who was very much in the mix throughout the week as well. In fact, I think they were tied a number of times atop the leaderboard. So, way to go, Barry.
Moving down to Pro Masters Women 50+, we got Nova 6-4 winning over Michelle Green. Congrats, Nova. Pro Masters 55+, Andy Ritter. Pro Masters Women 55+, Donna Barr. Pro Masters 60, Tim Keith. Pro Master Women 60, Sandy Gast. 65, Wayne Zink. 65 FPO, Lori Cloyes Chupa. Sorry if I demolished that. Pro Master 70, Dr. Rick. Congratulations, Dr. Rick. It's just, I can't imagine his trophy collection, his world's trophy collection. He's probably got a room just for world's trophies.
Easily.
Yeah,
easily.
Just that guy, and just the nicest young man you'll ever meet. Pro Masters 75+, Jack Gilmore, and Pro Masters 80+. Formerly known as what? Legends?
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
The Legends division? Pete May.
Nice. And a special shout. Congratulations, of course, to all those champions. We heard nothing but beaucoup accolades and just people fawning and going over and over how great of an experience and week and courses and everything that it was. So for all of those reasons, also, little post FOMO of not being there, but congratulations to all of them. And then our very own Johnny Rumble, he fought hard as the week went on. He hit like a 80-foot putt.
60, 80,
80 foot, 200-foot throw in.
To get into, that was the playoff
9.
you were probably thinking, because they had a playoff to get into the final 9, and he hit that to end up finishing third, right?
Yeah, so congratulations to one of our favorite smashies on the planet, Johnny Rumble.
Pro Masters 80+, my favorite division, because Pete May wins, turns down the $700 cash. It goes to the only other competitor, which is second place, Carlos Rigby. At what point did he look at Pete May and go, this shit don't matter. I'm taking home the money. You can have the trophy. I get the money. Like, they had to know, because Pete May's never accepted cash in his life.
Yeah. I mean, when you're 80 and you're playing golf, it's clearly about the money. It was probably, he's probably thinking it all week.
I'm sure he's going to put this towards his touring van.
That's exactly what Carlos was thinking.
That's right. Congratulations, Carlos Rigby. You didn't get the win, but you got the cash.
Yeah, so very cool. Again, from everything we heard, it sounds like everything was spectacular down there. Mike Jewell, I know you were there, Mike. I hope you had a good time. And Mike Jewell adds in and says, those Masters courses were tough. The top players just made them look simple, which I believe. I mean, when you're talking about some of those top players,
some of these guys
they're open caliber players, clearly.
Yeah. Dave Feldberg, Michael Joe, Stevie Rico,
Philo,
Chris
yeah.
Philo, Brad Schick. Like
Barry Schultz will take your lunch money every single day. So if you're thinking, oh, this dude's 50, yeah, it's more like he's 50 under. Actually,
57.
He was 57.
He's 57 under.
So
and I'm sure they played different courses, but Feldberg hit 60 under.
yeah. They may or may not actually have.
I mean, I don't
but
know
either way.
the number of courses. I mean, I'm sure they all played the same courses. Just depends
Either
what
way,
order
it was
they played in. So
yeah. So congratulations,
amazing
to all of them. All right.
Have we driven this into the ground yet, Terry? This particular podcast. Should we get to the after show? Because tonight, I've got a disc member box to give away.
Yeah, you do. I've got a few other things. I don't know if you want it in the after show or the regular show.
It's up to you.
I've got something else while we're riding all that high.
Let's do it. Let's do
and
it.
that other
Bring it
fun
on, Terry.
stuff. I will quickly talk about. His friend reached out to me, and I said this is certainly worth mentioning. His friend, being Chase Steed, reached out, and he said that his buddy Reed Fellers played this weekend. He played the Tail of the Nines in Camden, Arkansas, PDGA C-Tier. He started on hole number 10, which he aced.
Oh, that's a great way to start.
Not too bad.
You've started a tournament like that.
KC Wide Open, 1999, DX Eagle all day, hole 17, whooping everyone.
I was there.
Anyway.
You were leading the tournament for one
beating
round.
Barry. Barry who?
For like 2 holes.
Like I was 2 down through 1 hole. So
Leading the event.
So he aces hole 10 at 230 feet. 11 holes later, he aces hole 2 at 202 feet. And I don't care if it's a
rare 2 for ace.
Yes. So Chase, congratulations. Or no, sorry. Chase is the friend. Reed Fellers is the gentleman that did it. So congratulations. Another fun fact, I think that Chase had told me today. I think he said that Reed has played 3 PDGA tournaments and now has 3 aces. Yeah.
That's a hell of a streak.
Yeah, I know. How can you keep that up?
Do you just like call? Like, do you get to 5 and you're like, well, if I don't double ace this one, I should. There goes my streak. Like at some point, you just have to expect it.
I know.
You?
And how spoiled are you when you're doing that? So
someone asking, I hope he got into the ace pool.
That little tidbit I did not confirm or know for sure, but nonetheless. Very cool, pretty cool story, and I'll say again, thanks for reaching out and letting me know about it. I wanted to get the shout out in there.
As you should.
Again, Reed Fellers, pretty cool. 2 aces, 1 round. That's been done before, not to take anything away from it. It's been done before, but the fact that he's relatively new PDGA member and competitor, and he's got 3 aces in 3 PDGA events, also making it that much cooler. So, all right, we'll go ahead and close things out because we're going to have a disc member box that we can give away in the after show. We've got other topics of conversation. Few details. We're going to see a few changes for the upcoming Idlewild Open. I know they've changed up a few holes, a few tees for, I think, some of the men and some of the women, or maybe more so of the women than the men. But we can quickly touch on a few of the things that we're going to see this weekend as I'm excited to head down to Idlewild myself, starting the long drive tomorrow. So, all right, guys, we're going to call it. Big shout out, Kyle Klein. Thanks so much for joining us. Really just a no-brainer to have you with the way we've been watching you tear it up and making that chase, making that yet another piece of this entire story for the incredible Ledgestone weekend that we had. Of course, congratulations to our event champions again in Paige Pierce, along with Kelvin and Ricky. Nice work. I'd rather be on top when it ties than not. So
yeah.
Nice work there. So for podcast 363, we invite you to join us for the after show coming up in just a few moments, where we'll give away some stuff, talk about some other random things going on for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. We'll see you in the after show when you step inside the Smash Box.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashboxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Smashbox TV's podcast 363's After Show. So last week was a little unique, a lot unique, in that there was nothing fancy about it. It was just me,
I like to call that
Nate Heinold, and Ricky.
bad because I wasn't on the show.
Nobody missed. Everybody missed you so much.
I watched the first 30 seconds, and Nate Heinold said he was the Johnny V of it, and
You're like,
that was all I
click.
needed. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. Sorry, buddy. And I turned it off. But
probably a good move.
no, because I still have to do all the behind the scenes work, like pulling the audio, cleaning it up a little bit, uploading it, and I don't even get the fun part of making everybody listen to my bad ideas.
Mm-hmm.
This is unfortunate for me, but
no, nobody was complaining. They're like, "Yep, sounds good."
You didn't see my private emails. Everybody missed me.
Really?
Maybe.
I think the only thing people missed today was another Firebird drop.
Are there any left?
No, somebody said 8 minutes. Someone
I'm
said
joking.
it lasted 5. I'm not sure. I saw the tweet about 15 minutes later, and of course they were gone. I don't know how many were there. This is a bold statement, but I might say I think I'm stocked enough on Firebirds, Sexton Firebirds myself.
Have, what, like 400 this year?
No, I did not get 400.
500.
I'm not going to disclose
600 Firebirds.
I'm not disclosing
how many different accounts you have where you're flipping them, Terry? Like, I mean, Mary Tiller or Barry Filler. Like, come on, how many?
Bear Tear, barely legal tear.
That's a different one. That's a different website. I'm not going to that at all. I mean, you're flipping these things for cash, right, Terry?
Yes, barely tear. Sure. But I feel like I have enough.
I don't own a single Sexton Firebird, and I'm not really sad about it.
Yeah, I mean,
I have no reason for it. I'm not so much of a collector.
So, but yes, I know.
Because if I did buy it, I would so flip that thing in a heartbeat. A heartbeat.
Well, somebody's saying it was 12 minutes. I was at the computer when they dropped. So
lucky you.
Yeah, it did seem like a lot of people. Now, clearly, there's a little bit of. I mean, people are satisfied. People have them, and now if a new drop comes out, they don't have to jump to it because they're like, no, I got my 2 or 4 or 10 or whatever their number is. And I think a lot of people, we've arrived at that. So who knows how many more will be out there and ultimately get released, but pretty cool nonetheless. Anyway, somebody says, oh, wow, Shift One Photo says, look like 2,000 were available. That would be surprising if it was. A, it'd be surprising if it was only 2,000, and B, it'd be surprising if 2,000 really lasted 12 minutes. That would be shocking to me. But maybe. That means they're all saturated. Nobody really wants them, so now that they don't, just send them to me, and I'll hold them. Okay. As always, here in the after show, we talk about things golf, non-golf related, whatever topics come to mind. Also, we love to interact with the various chat boards. So if you have something you'd love to reach out and talk to us directly about or address, or a question we might be able to answer, or a topic of conversation, put it in the chat board. I left the regular show just teasing out a little bit that we're going to see a few changes for this weekend's Idlewild Open. And I don't know if I have them all correct, so don't bet the house on these. But I feel like a few of the notes that I got out of the tournament director today. Hole 7 sounds like the FPO there's new tee pads there, and on hole 7 it's about 100 feet shorter. Okay, I also have that hole 15 is about 100 feet shorter. On hole 13, affectionately known as the KY gap, the tee was leveled out and raised up a little bit. Hole 11 on the MPO side, and I'm talking through these quickly like you know what they are because you probably do after a few years of coverage. But hole 11 is kind of, if not the one of the shortest holes out there. That's the one that we frequently see mounted a little bit higher. We see that one elevated, and we've also seen that one either aced or near aced quite a few times. It said that they no longer have an AstroTurf tee pad, but they have a concrete tee there now. So everybody will love that, I'm sure. Hole 17. I think this is probably one of the most significant changes that everybody will notice, talk about, and think about. Hole 17, I'm told, is about 150 feet forward. It's on the left for all the divisions, and that there's a nice big gap line all the way there. So hole 17 is the one that meanders, as my audio people can't see me
waving your arms
around like a floppy fish. It meanders through and around, and there's OB left and right and whatever it is. I should say it's in the middle, and everybody's going left or right. They've moved the tee 150 feet closer to the pin, and he said that there is a nice big gap line all the way there. I want to say it's like sub 300.
Which hole?
Hole 17.
Wow.
I mean, that frequently caused backups. There was always a lot of people felt like you could throw a shot, and it was almost tough to find inbounds depending on what you were doing. But
Sure.
hole 17, do we have? Can we see it out on the information? I don't think it's out publicly on UDisc yet. But hole 17, many of you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's been moved shorter, so that's I find that really interesting. And then, sorry, I had a couple other notes. This is pretty cool. Hole 3. So 3 is the downhill. It's the first par 3, so to speak. It's the downhill that kind of plays toward the road. I have in my notes, hole 3 has a $1,000 ace bounty for MPO by LWS accounting firm. So if anyone were to ace that, it looks like there's a $1,000 bounty. I believe that all aces, or that bounty, I should say, splits all weekend. So if somebody obviously aces it first round in the if somebody aces it in the first round, and then somebody in the second round and 2 people in the third round all get that same exact hole, they would split the $1,000 4 ways. Hole 17 for the women has a $1,000 ace bounty as well, and that's from the Osteopathic Care Initiative. Did I say that right? Osteopathic Care Initiative. And same rules apply. All aces there split all weekend for that bounty. So that's what we'll see.
I'm excited.
Weather. Let's talk weather.
Well, we shouldn't see a cancellation this week
because they play on Monday.
No.
We're planning on being there Monday and Tuesday for rounds 2.5 and 3.5.
Apparently, possible weather on Friday.
Yep.
But Saturday and Sunday look clear right now. Now, obviously, we're a week away, so I always assume that those things can shift about a day, depending on weather patterns. So maybe Friday's great and Saturday looks miserable, but I don't think we're going to have too much room. But isn't this the course where the players had to come back the next morning and play around?
It sure is, because
was it 2 years ago or last year?
No, that was like 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, tents were destroyed.
Yeah.
We had this crazy weather that rolled in, and play had to halt, and then they came back out and had to finish their first or second round. They had to finish it the next day and then come back out later. Yeah, so we've had that at this event as well. So who knows?
Well, I mean, what should happen is just stop playing all events from the Mississippi West after May.
Okay. I mean,
I'm sorry, Mississippi East. My bad. Mississippi East. So yeah, just everything's in California all year long.
Yeah, I mean, then instead we could
die in an earthquake.
Something like that.
Fall into the ocean.
Right. Reading from on the board, Neil asks, Terry, if you had to bring only one rock of yours to the Northwood Black, what would you pick? It would be one of my couple of Ontario rocks. I would just bring an Ontario rock of some kind that could be thrown in all situations.
I'd pull the Drew Gibson. I would go my slightly beat Buzz. Like if I just had to do a mid-range.
Also pretty cool. Drew being on number 10 on Sports Center this weekend for the throw-in that he had. Congratulations to him. All right. Ray says Kevin Jones is going to get his first win this weekend, assuming you mean obviously of this year. Yeah, or first Elite Series of that. Quite possible. We saw the momentum. We saw how he's, not only does he challenge every course and I think vies for the win or can, but here specifically, we've seen him with some pretty solid performances. So wouldn't be surprised by that.
Shout out to John M. for a $5 super chat saying to Terry for being awesome at the preserve. So
John.
I can only assume he's lying.
I was like, here is $20 for the next 4 weeks. I need you to go out there. So John,
1 week down,
1 week,
3 to go. So now you're just literally paying people to watch our show.
Yep.
Oh, that's. I mean, I'm not opposed to that.
Of course you're not.
That's what
easy like
we've
that.
got giveaways every week. We do that for.
So thank you so much, John. Appreciate it, man. Disc golf got featured on the front page of the local newspaper today. I don't know where that is, but that's good. Glad. And the picture was of me. Big flex. Nice.
Oh, baller.
Disc Blaster says, I'm so sick of the Midwest East Coast bias. I don't know in specifically what you're talking about in terms of the bias, but I mean everybody, right? It's undeniable. The Midwest is the hotbed. Yeah, that's what everybody talks about. Clearly. Sue in Raleigh says, yeah, she hasn't been much of a factor in some of these long courses. I'm not sure who you were talking about for she. I love seeing Terry get dunked at the tournament. Yeah, thanks, Tyler. Appreciate that. Terry, how much would you pay for the James Conrad Holy Shot NV?
We talked about this a few weeks ago.
We kind of did, and the number he threw out or didn't, how he wouldn't take $5,000. But he didn't bat an eye when someone said 20 or 25 like that. He would jump on. So his number is somewhere in between. It's funny because as iconic as that disc and the shot was and everything that's around it, I don't know what I would personally do with it. I think about
hoard it like you do everything else. Of course,
but I mean, like, I feel like obviously I would put it in some kind of special casing or box or, Mission Impossible safe with lasers around it. I always say, or I have said and thought, like, it would be kind of cool to someday have a disc golf museum just because I have so much random stuff that I feel like people might be interested in, of stuff I've collected of places all throughout the world over the years. It would have to go on display there, but I don't own that yet. So at this stage, I'd pay him $10,000. I just don't know what I'd do with it. And I don't think he'd take $10,000. I don't think he should. I don't think I'd pay more than $10,000, even though I think it's more valuable than that.
What about $10,000 and a hacky sack? I mean, some juggling sticks. He might.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I think it's worth more than that. I don't know if I personally would pay more than that. Yeah, that's what I'd say about that.
Andy Cap says, JVD, any house update? We were approved. Our offer was accepted on a new house, so we will be moving on the 30th. So that Monday we close, and we got some movers, and we'll move some of the boxes ourselves. And then that Tuesday, I already have AT&T scheduled to put the fiber connection in, so I'll be there for that. I think the 31st, that Tuesday, will probably be the last show we do here. This house will hopefully be empty other than this corner of the basement. And from there, we'll hopefully then kind of work in a temp studio in the new basement for a few weeks while I probably try to build out a more permanent studio solution in the basement. And I'll hopefully take a bunch of photos and put them on Patreon like I did this past week. I took some behind the scenes stuff, and I'll talk about that in a little while as far as broadcast went. But yeah, so I'm excited. And tonight we had our real estate agent over for this house. So if you want to buy a nice little Cape Cod 3-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on the south side, reach out to me in the next 4 days, because
it's not in Cape Cod.
No, it's not in Cape Cod. It's a Cape Cod style. Yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. There's no cod fish in it either. I'm just
No,
there's not. So you got about 4 days to reach out to me, because a real estate agent will put it on the market. I'm just going to assume it's going to sell like hotcakes, or we're just going to put on there former home of Smashbox, and I'm assuming it sells for 2 to 3 times what I'm asking.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I would hope so.
And we should even thinking a little bit ahead. As of right now, I am scheduled to fly to the Boston area, or to the MVP, on what would be Wednesday the 1st. And so it may make more sense, instead of having it on the 31st, to do it on Wednesday the 1st, if we're thinking ahead for the podcast and whether or not.
Sure.
But yeah, we can talk about that in the next week or so. But just jumping ahead a little bit, if things are congested or tight or a challenge in that way, maybe doing it from the first day of arriving at the MVP might be an alternative to us, instead of on that kind of hectic on the 31st.
That just means I'll have to move all this stuff. Maybe with the move then.
Yeah, so we could talk about that. Real quick, Mike Jewell says, Terry, thanks for staying strong and not replying to J. Ray's photo text that we sent to you. I received a very disturbing and inappropriate photo from one J. Ray. I'm pretty sure I could get him kicked out of the PDGA for that. So I did not want to get to that level, but J. Ray, I see where you finished at Pro Masters Worlds. Good job. and that's yucky. Okay. So yes, I can say that much. It's more conversation about would you throw it or whatever. Again, I can't stress enough. I think it's worth way more than 10. I just personally wouldn't shell that out unless I was rich. I'll also say I don't believe it's the most valuable disc in history. I don't. I mean, there are, some of our early discs, the first beveled edges, the Eagles, just some of the other discs that were truly the origins of our sport or of the beveled edge. And is as amazing and iconic and unforgettable as that experience and what James did, I don't feel like that supersedes or transcends literally the origins of our beveled edge and of our sport. So to me, it might be, valuable. Of course it is, but I wouldn't place a value on it as opposed to some of the first discs that were ever released, me personally. But the collector market sure is a funny place.
It certainly is. This weekend I made quite a few posts. We had a backup. I don't want to say backup. That's the bad way to put it. We had a co-switcher come into the studio, Ian, who works with the AUDL. Him and I worked pretty closely together, and I was teaching him a little bit about some of the tech side of the switching, because he's purely he has been in the past, purely a switcher, some guy who just calls cameras and that's it. And I do a lot more than that. I do some replay and audio and all this other stuff. So working him into the position so that he can do some additional switching for us when I don't want to, honestly. He's very busy all summer long because he works for the AUD. He works with the AUDL as a contractor. But I did post a few behind-the-scenes pics that people really, really, really enjoyed as far as calling cameras, a couple pictures. I posted some to Patreon, which was nice. But I did post some to Twitter, and I think even just to our Discord, just to give it kind of a general taste and a general look at the current studio and how some of basically that 30-second little clip is what we do for 6 to 8 hours a weekend. So I thought it was kind of fun. And I got, like I said, a lot of really good feedback on that tweet. It's probably my most liked tweet. So, because it didn't feature me.
Exactly.
So it was kind of nice.
Here, let me show everything I'm not doing.
I'm not doing right now. Let me show everything I basically created. So I got to sit back and just kind of help set up the show and then hand it off to him and let him roll with that. So it's not the last time we've seen we will see Ian this year probably.
Okay. You guys are talking about the very shot with there was something else. Matthew, I agree with you. And Matthew had said sports science is going to be playing a bigger part in disc golfing sooner or later. I couldn't agree with that more. I would love to see it. I am certainly not structured or lean that way. And I mean, that's like smart stuff.
What do you say?
So I personally just kind of like how I feel about a lot of statistics and other data-driven things. Like that stuff is not usually. It's something I would never investigate or pursue myself. When it crosses my desk or I see it, I'll likely find intrigue or interest by it. But it's certainly not where I'm personally interested or driven toward. But I couldn't agree more. I think we're going to see a lot of that. There's a lot of really smart people out there that are taking some of their real-world professional experiences, tools, and resources, and then saying, hey, wait a minute, you guys disc golf's doing blank all wrong, and here's why. I think that's going to continue as our sport gets bigger and as more professionals from other disciplines all come into the scene. I think there's still a handful of very big discoveries out there that someone is going to come in and realize that we've been doing all wrong. Mm-hmm. I think that's absolutely possible. So, YouTube chat went off the rails Sunday. The DGPT channel made a random troll a mod instead of banning them.
Yeah, well, I don't think they were trying to ban them. I think what happened was someone was trying to make somebody else a mod and accidentally clicked on the wrong person, because that chat can move pretty fast sometimes. So, you have to be very careful. It made someone who definitely should not have been a mod, who then went on to cause problems.
Oh, really? I didn't hear of this.
Yes, I believe he started just banning people or like putting them in timeouts and deleting comments.
Was it Tear Barely 18 out there?
It was not Tear Barely 18. No, it was Jason.
It wasn't me.
It was Jason A. was his name.
Oh, okay.
And caused a lot of problems. And the funny part was I caught the very tail end of it when he was still a mod, and then suddenly he vanished. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Because I was just sitting around because we were just playing the old broadcasts and not really paying attention. We were all talking in the studio and hanging out and, swearing at the world because we all wanted to leave that studio at like 7:30. And I was like, what's going on here? And then I kind of scrolled back and found out it wasn't pretty. That you think the YouTube chat isn't necessarily the best place in the world in the first place? Start handing out wrenches to some people who don't deserve it, and you're going to see a whole new thing.
Okay, I'm probably glad that I missed it then. Mm-hmm. Can't complain about that. Is there going to be any kind of rejuvenation, letdown, exhale, any or all of those things as we wrap up Kentucky, hopefully on Sunday afternoon?
No.
Wrap up Kentucky. I mean, I understand that.
Not for me.
Maybe for the pros. The Elite Series, the top of Elite Series events will then be on a brief break for a couple weeks. We do have a Silver Series the very next weekend in New Jersey, I believe. But people obviously playing the national tour in Delaware, and then we go right back to back-to-back weekends with MVP and GMC. I mean, fatigue, mental, physical, injury, are all those things just right around the corner at this point?
Fatigue, probably. I think you saw it this weekend with Paul McBeth on that second round. Third round? It was a third round.
Second round.
He was frustrated. He'd had it.
Mm-hmm.
We started to just stop showing his shots because he was throwing so fast we couldn't get our cameras in place. So we started to ignore him for a few holes because it looked like he had just kind of mentally checked out. And obviously that Northwood Black course can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't I would probably chalk that up somewhat to tour fatigue as well. Just all of it stacking up. And it's tough. It's a grind. You're constantly on the road, possibly away from a family or whatever. I know he's got Hannah, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we could see a little bit more of that coming up in the next few weeks, which, I really respect Eagle because he kind of picks and chooses a lot of the events. He takes breaks, and he's fortunate where he can. There are some pros that, not that they can't, because everybody can, but it's not fiscally the right move for them to skip an event.
Sure.
Like take for instance Kyle, who we had on tonight. I just looked, and he's like the second highest rated player, I believe, at the Stafford Open.
Oh wow!
I believe these are sorted by rating, if I remember. Matt Oram and Kyle, I think so. Matt Oram, Kyle Klein, Nikolai Castro, Chris Clemens. I think they're sorted by PDGA rating, but I could be totally wrong with that. I'm just guessing. It doesn't make sense for him to skip the Stafford because he's still on that grind where he needs that second place finish or that first place finish or that third place money to get to the next spot. Eagle doesn't need that, man. And it benefits him that he can just kind of take a break, and he knows himself. So I hope we get to more places where players can do that. But I think you're going to start to see a little bit more frustration come out these last few weeks as the courses get tougher, more wooded as we move to the East Coast. What everybody, quote unquote, wants to see, disc golf in its natural habitat, the woods, will also cause some players to get very frustrated and maybe punch the ground, as we saw a few times, or maybe bend a disc, which we've seen in the past, or
eat a cookie.
Eat a cookie, Marweed. So I think the fatigue and the burnout is a real thing, and it's going to be part of the tour forever.
Yeah, well,
until you can afford to hit.
I was just gonna say, are we getting less events? Not really, right?
No, but hopefully as the payouts go higher, players can pick and choose more. Paying for a tour. Let's just say that next year there's 12. Is that what we have this year? 12 DGPT events?
10, I think.
10? Okay, let's just say there's 12 next year. Paying for a tour pass or a card or whatever it's called that gets you into the first 8 of your choice. And you can take 4 off. Just say, those are the 4 I don't want to play. And everybody does that. And for some people it might be early in the season. For some people it might be late in the season. It all depends on where your mind is. What do you want to do? It's going to be tough, and these players are going to have to learn how to cope.
Yeah, the grind is certainly real out there, and as we just said, the financially more financially well off ones will have some of that flexibility. Likely all because of the hard work and what they've grinded to get into that position. But that advantage may widen. And become more evident as the year goes on. So a couple other major things that we didn't talk about. It was, of course, pretty busy with the Worlds and the Ledgestone. First of all, right around this time, a week ago, we announced and saw that we have brand new PDGA board members. And quickly, I will shout out, as I saw 2 of them, at least momentarily at Ledgestone, Wilbur Wallace, who was on staff at the Ledgestone Insurance Open, as he has been. He coincidentally is a Peoria, staple in Peoria disc golf scene for many years.
Long time.
Where his mother, Mom Wallace, and his father, who's passed away, Old Man Wallace, were really the I was gonna say the meat, the potatoes, the glue, every cliche you want to throw in there. Impetus, is that a good word?
Yeah.
Everything of the Peoria disc golf scene. So Wilbur, PDGA 6853, he is a new board member. Leah Sinigini, one of our newer players out there on tour, she also won her position. I think she received more votes than any other of the board members, so congratulations to her. And then David Schreff, who... in the talk that I had with him, had talked about his relationship with the NBA, his relationship with Marvel, and a lot of his other experiences with truly very little hands-on disc golf ties and/or experience, and also volleyball, I believe, is one of his other areas of expertise or partnerships. So excited to see what they can do. Of course, congratulations to all of them. I know it was a little bittersweet. Leah had showed up to the event. She had just actually, it was announced and whatnot that she had become a board member, and then a day or two right around the start of the event, her father had unexpectedly passed away. So, of course, thoughts and condolences and prayers with her and her family. I can't fathom an unexpected passing of that, of any family member like that. And she had gotten the news while she was there, but she is one of our 3 new board members. So again, David Schreff, Leah Sinigini, and Wilbur Wallace. So that happened. And then the other, I'll say really actually big thing that somehow is kind of gotten past us all too, 2 showings on ESPN in the last week.
Yeah, that's funny. It's hard because the times that they were put out. I mean, one of them was literally, I think, 10 a.m. during.
Yeah, 9 a.m., 9 or 10 a.m. Friday morning. I think it was 9 a.m. Friday morning, just as the FPO were attacking Sunset. And so that was a kind of a year so far recap. And I know that Dustin from Disc Golf Ledger, and I know that Joe were the 2 main editors on that. Thank you to those guys. And anyone else that, of course, had anything to do with it. But it was essentially like, here we are at this point in the season. Here's what's happened thus far. And it was a 1-hour recap. And it quickly went through literally
all the events
that we've had this year.
I heard it was good.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was absolutely phenomenal.
Because I heard mixed reviews about the Portland broadcast.
Not enough me. Not enough of my face.
Not enough Terry.
FaceTime. Not enough of my. There was none.
Well, there's a lot of your face.
They wanted. My face gets around. If you know what I mean.
I know. I mean,
like literally around.
I try to put my TV in 4:3 mode, and it still
fills it.
Still fills it. I heard mixed reviews on that one.
Sure.
For what it's worth, I haven't watched either of them yet, but I heard very, very good reviews on the recap show.
Yeah, it was largely narrated and or kind of guided, I guess, as well by Jamie, along a little bit with Nate and Val, and it was just like, okay, we're in Arkansas this weekend, and here's the story that unfolded, and they quickly recap it, and then the tour moved on to such and such, and then they recapped it. So it was great, and just again, can't say enough. That was on ESPN, the Ocho, and right after it, you can appreciate this, Tetris World Championships.
Same guy?
I didn't get a chance to watch it all, but they were talking about how Tetris moved, of course, due to COVID, moved to an all-online format as opposed to being in person, and that was about, I had to turn it off because I had other stuff to do, and I was like, I can't get sucked into this, so I had to actually turn it off. But yeah, it was on there, and needless to say, it's just the standard response you'd expect in that, like, everyone who's knows you then reaches out and says, "Oh, I saw it. Mm-hmm. It's reaching.
No, it is
reaching a lot of people, and for every person that's ever been like, yeah, you and your frisbee golf thing, and then they see it in one of those places. Not that we're necessarily looking or begging for that validity, but it seems like a damn good place to scoop some up is when it's featured there, and your grandma and your aunt and your the guy at the the butcher." Because everybody goes to a butcher still, I think. That's still a thing, right? Everybody goes to your neighborhood butcher. Like, when they're all talking about it.
I go to a butcher shop to get good cuts of steak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're better than my local grocery store.
Of course. I know. So you roll. So, a couple of things that happened. Very cool to see. Thank you to all those incredible editors. And then the vision of the Pro Tour and the network, and then all those individual events and everyone that had anything to do with it. So very nice. Was it on just after foosball?
Something like that.
Is that what
I
I saw?
thought I heard something like that.
Foosball, then disc golf, and then they went to the Tetris. I mean, I can get on board with some of that. You guys are talking about some weather. We can go over that. Headed to the tub. Ooh, yeah. Okay, Neil. Neil's heading to the tub. Is a neighborhood butcher a common thing? You can still watch the recap on ESPN if you search history of disc golf. Oh, that's good to know. All right, let's give something away, Johnny.
Let's give something away, Terry. And how do we do that? Normally, we just, give something away randomly. But tonight, as my monitors are, I must have bumped the power button there.
Freaking out, yeah.
Yeah, my monitors are freaking out. We usually, and we're going to do the same thing tonight, Terry. Sorry, I'm fixing this right now. Power on? Yeah, I guess I'm going to be short of a monitor right now. I bumped something. Anyway,
Jeez.
Disc member, thanks a lot for being a supporter of the Smashbox podcast. We're going to give this away tonight. You can be eligible by signing up at patreon.com/smashboxtv. And we're going to give this away to somebody, Terry. Terry, I like to ask, who should we give this out to? Can you tell me just a name? No, you can't. You have to give me a number, Terry Miller.
Well, I mean,
we have 197 people eligible for our giveaway tonight.
I think the obvious answer would have to be the fifth person to Kyle Klein went 5 for 5. So we've got to.
I thought you were going to go 6 because he was in 6th place. But
no,
all right, anyway, fifth.
He was going for his 6th birdie. That would have made sense too. But we're going to go 5.
All right, first number is 176. Second number is 62. Third number is 38. Fourth number is 49. Our fifth and final number for the disc member.
How are they sorted tonight, Johnny?
Email address, baby. Email address is 48. 48. I need to find
It's going to start with an H. No, that's way too late. 25%.
Where's my spreadsheet here?
Emails A through. It's going to start with it's going to start with a G.
Hold on a second. The monitor that my spreadsheet was on is the monitor that went out.
Oh, jeez.
There we go.
Johnny, if we don't want to give something away, you don't have to lie to the people.
No, there we go. There we go. This is going to be better. Hopefully now we can get this. Hold on. I promise I have it ready.
All right.
There we go. 48, I said, right? 48 is Alex Diggins. Alex Diggins. Congratulations.
Starts with a D.
Started with a D because his email address started with a D.
Yes.
So.
All right, Alex, let's get that shipped out to you. I'm going to need to double check your address. Alex, I feel like you're pretty active.
Guess what? You're right. It's a tie. I've got 2 of them. The funny thing is I've been holding one of these because I thought
we didn't give one away last week.
Should I give another one away?
Yeah, we should. Because I was at Ledgestone, so I didn't have a giveaway. So yes,
you're right. It is going to be a tie. We're going to give. It's a 2-winner week. It's a 2-winner week.
One is Calvin and one is Ricky.
All right. So I'm just going to hit the number again. I got to bring it up now. So
Chris,
the very next number is 13. So we're going up higher, and that's going to be Barney Davis. Congratulations, Barney Davis.
Barney, thank you so much. Barney, we need to make sure that we have your address along with the first person, Alex Diggins. Let's double check that we have your addresses, please, so we can get these mailed out right away or handed off in person or whatever the case might be. But let's double check that we've got those addresses so we can make this happen.
We definitely have Alex's and we definitely have Barney's.
Even better. Chris says, Terry, I loved your sneaky competitiveness in that Pro-Am. Thank you. I know maybe it's a stock answer at this point, but I have told everyone I'm genuinely just happy I didn't embarrass myself. I didn't play, clearly I'm not at a top professional level by any means, but I also didn't go out and just wildly embarrass myself. So to me, for only playing a few rounds a year these days, I'll take that. I appreciate that.
Ian, our guest switcher, we went out to dinner Sunday night,
and kind of just me, him, and Gary. And he asked me, he's like, yeah, I've been playing a lot lately. He only started about a year and a half ago. And he's like, I've been playing like almost every off day. How much do you play? And I'm like, a couple of rounds a year now. And he looked at me like I was kind of nuts. And he's like, how often do you and Terry get to play together? I said, if I play one round with Terry a year,
that's too many.
That's too many. I said, that's about it. We get to play like maybe one round a year together if we're lucky. And I think he was a little flummoxed by it because our graphics guy, or I'm sorry, our replay guy Gary is playing more and more again now that he's working. Now he's working for the Pro Tour full time. He's got a little bit more free time in the afternoons and such, and he doesn't have to get up so early. But I still do not have that, and so it was kind of like I felt like the odd man out because I don't get to play nearly as much.
Yeah,
disc
and
golf.
people ask me that frequently too. I now have altered my response to be more fitting, which is I could play more. I simply don't prioritize it. I mean, if I really, really wanted to, I could probably find a way to play 4 or 5 days a week. I just simply do not prioritize it. So I play 0 days a month. Yeah, and that's on me. And I'm okay with, more often than not, I'm okay with it. Occasionally I'll get an itch that I'll really feel like I want to go out and play.
They have
and then
creams
usually
for
I'll get sidetracked into doing something else, so it doesn't happen. Disc Blaster says, yes, Terry, address my idea of a provisional playoff after round 2 or 3 if the forecast, round 2 of 3, if the forecast is questionable for the final round. That is provisional playoff.
So like at the end of the round, you're tied.
I get it.
The hard part is like, think about this weekend when we were at Northwood Black. We literally finished in the dark.
Okay, so there's.
I mean, you
logistically
that could have been a problem. I mean, I'm not saying it's not impossible.
Make them wake up at 6 a.m. to go play a new course that they've never played and say, this is your playoff in case we have bad weather.
Glow.
Yeah. Man, a provisional playoff. What would be really funny about the dynamic of that is, let's say you've lost the provisional playoff. Or won it.
Oh, God. Yeah, that could add a lot of fun.
What kind of weird pressure does that put into then going into the final round? And let's say, if we're going to really go down this hole, let's say after 2 out of 3 rounds, you're tied. Ricky and Calvin are tied after 2 rounds. Let's say after the 3rd round, well, then they go and do a provisional playoff. After the 3rd round, they're tied still. Do they go play another playoff? Or do you default to the one they've already done? Whether the weather is good or bad. I mean, like, anyway, short answer, I don't love it. It's an idea.
I don't like it.
But I don't. It also adds just this really funny element of pressure of, if you've lost it, you're of course hoping that you're hoping that even more so that play continues. Yeah, it's just.
I kind of like the weird pressure it creates.
Yeah.
We
better play and I better win because I don't want the provisional playoff from yesterday to come back and bite me.
Or just the fact that like you're coming down the last 2 or 3 holes, and if you're, let's say you can't go for a tie. Like you can't play off thinking like,
assuming you're going to
take the previous playoff L. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. It would be interesting, but
it's an idea.
It's definitely an idea.
It's an idea, Disc Blaster. It's an idea. All right. John, yes. I know you're saying, how can we avoid a dual champion? We beat that to death and then some. So if you're going to have to scroll back, as you said, you got here a little late for that. You look great, Terry.
This is an audio podcast for some people too. You can subscribe and listen later. Did you know that? Audio. Look up Smashbox TV in any of your podcatchers, and you'll find us.
Okay, do that. Tyler Brickley and friends says, evening. Good to see or hear from you, Tyler. Hope you're well. Somebody says, I noticed what seemed to me to be tensions between them in recent videos. I'm sorry, I'm not sure who you're talking about. Up above.
You and me, I think. Lots of tensions.
No, there was our Eagle and Simon beefing was the question.
Well, Eagle was here earlier. We could have asked him. Eagle doesn't eat beef, so I'm guessing no.
I don't believe so. Spock says you got to get the girls out there. That is definitely the plan. You should give away a coupon code for a round with JV and Terry at a course near you. Some people like, you know how on the bottom of coupons it says this is no redeemable value, or this is 1/100th of a penny in terms of actual value. I worry that might be the case.
I wouldn't bring discs. I just use whoever won. I'm like, I get to use your discs. I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't want to throw my own discs into trees.
Game of disc to break the tie. Cage fight for the win. Some other ideas out there. Eagles Vlogs is still here. Serious question. Yes, Tyler says he's got a serious question. Tyler, I'd love to see it. Ray says Casey White sort of fell out of relevance since Texas. I mean,
has he been touring much? I thought. Has he?
Feel like he has. I'll say there might be exclusive bonus 9-hole coverage. I think when it was called on Sunday, the cameramen that worked with me, big shout out, Dylan, John, Pastry Dyes, the card that they had gone out and covered was like MPO 5 maybe.
Oh, he is still touring.
It's got 9 holes. So at some point in Magic Lala editing land, when that all gets edited, you're going to get an extra 9 holes. None of this 3-hole leader card stuff or this 5-hole Kyle Klein stuff. You're going to get a Eureka front 9 that's going to have, I think, the likes of Casey White, maybe Paul Macbeth. I forget who else they said was on the card. But, yeah, we'll have 9 holes for you. So there's that. Can I come back on Smashbox sometime when you're slow and Terry will be there?
Terry's always a little slow, but yes.
Yeah.
No, Tyler, of course, you're always welcome on the show. Just schedule it with us sometime. Let us know. We can do an after show with you.
Yeah, maybe. JVD's great, but Terry, come on. You get it.
I mean, we'll tell him, and then we won't pick up the phone.
We'll figure something out. 9 holes that never happen, Ryan says. Yeah, super excited. We're going to have some bonus FPO coverage. I've got a ton of editing to get working on for a lot of bonus coverage that's taking place. Some D-Glow bonus coverage I've got that needs to get edited. Ledgestone bonus coverage that needs to get edited. I'm going to have an entire library of bonus coverage for when things get slower in the year later on. I'm genuinely excited about it because there'll be a ton of fresh content. You guys will be like, oh, I didn't know that existed. I love watching this.
Mainly Spin asks, how late in their career do you see Ricky and Paul playing MPO till? Like, are they, when they hit 40, are they going to be like, cool, Masters?
No.
You say that, and
I don't. Unless something crazy within the field says they just truly are the longest of long shots to win when they get to 40, which is 10-ish years for them. I see them. I mean, I see them like a Johnny McRae or a Barry Schultz. Like those guys can win. Now, clearly, they have a bigger battle. Mm-hmm. For a little while, Johnny McRae didn't. Johnny McRae was at the right top there of the field every weekend.
He's got, I think, hip issues now or knee.
Yeah, he does. But if Ricky and Paul and whomever like legitimately have a chance to win in MPO, that's where I think they'll continue to play for many years.
I think you're right, and I would agree with that. I bet you at least until probably their mid-40s. What I could see possibly happening, look at the youth right now. 15, 16, 17, crushing plastic. If these courses continue to stretch out,
it might chase them out earlier.
It might chase them out a little earlier because their bodies may not be able to handle that type, or they might not be able to keep up, which sounds crazy considering we know they can both easily throw 450 plus when they want to. So if the sport is starting to require 500-foot throws regularly, that could chase them out. And it's hard to see where we're going to be in 10 years, the courses that we're going to be on and whatnot, because Paul is 31? 31? Okay. And Ricky's 29?
26, 27?
26, 27? Oh, my God. Wow. No, yeah, Ricky will be around forever. So who knows what that field's going to look like. If I had to take a guess, you're right. That's what I would have said. Probably in their mid-40s. You might see them double dip for a little bit in Pro Masters and Masters if they get the chance, but maybe not.
Yeah, and that's why I say if they truly feel like they're competitive to possibly take down an MPO win, they'll play there. But as we know them now, they're certainly not thinking, man, can't wait till things get easier at 40.
No, that's things you and I
that's something,
say.
yeah, exactly. Hacks like you and I think, or we're thinking, but those guys are certainly not thinking that. Heard rumor there might be live from Conapista.
Oh God, we didn't.
Any inside knowledge?
That's the European Open. No live. I mean, unless it's unannounced and it's starting in like 2 days, then no, there'll be no live. Unless, let me put it this way, no formal live. You might get some cell phone, you might get some live stream, Facebook stuff like that from some people, but no live. We've totally forgot to mention, this was a very busy week, the European Pro Tour announcement for next year. They announced, I think, 6 probable events with live coverage. And I'm excited to see what they can bring to the live format. I guess they're working with some production company over in Europe. I'm really excited to see what will happen with the European Pro Tour next year. I didn't know at first if it honestly had anything to do with the Disc Golf Pro Tour, but it apparently does not. So we're gonna see some live competition, which will be kind of crazy if we start seeing overlap in times. We're gonna be able to roll right from one to the other. I don't know,
Wow. I trust that it's going to be a great job because those guys really are on top of what's going on over there, and I know all of those guys. So best of luck to them, and like you said, excited to see what's going to come of it. And I have 2 other quick things. Congratulations goes out to one of our favorite Aussie brethren, Aussie mates in Luke. Luke popped a big question. Can we make minis or something? I don't know what he said, but she said yes, and I guess that's the big takeaway. So congratulations to you, Luke. Super happy for you, buddy. And there was one other big announcement of, and now I'm already losing it. I apologize. What was I just thinking of? Someone else had, I feel like,
marriage, babies, wedding.
Yeah, there was
births, deaths.
There was another engagement, and I'm drawing a blank, and I feel terrible. I had 2 of them on the top of my head, and I can't remember who they were, but I know one of them was Luke. So congratulations to Luke over there in Australia. All right, I think that's about all that we got here.
Yeah, it's 11:30 Central Time right now. I think we're good to call it a night.
Yeah, it's gonna drive me crazy, but nonetheless, congrats if you did like good big stuff or
life-changing decisions.
Life-changing, and happy birthday to all those birthday people. Thanks for joining us. Had fun chatting with y'all tonight. Looking forward to this weekend, of course, Idlewild Open. That's going to come to you on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday morning. We'll be and Saturday night for a playoff, just in case for funsies. We're gonna do one of those 2. We're gonna have so much golf. You're gonna be like, what the hell are they throwing for? And we're like, I don't know. We're just throwing because we should, because we want to be super safe that we've got all these. But yes, we're looking forward to it. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, this has been Podcast After Show 363. We'll see you this weekend for the Idlewild Open right there on Disc Golf Network. We'll see you again when you step inside the Smashbox.